Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to One-on-One WFUV Sports' New York's longest running call-in show. I'm Travis Hayden. Today I'm joined by Max Langer. How you doing, Max?
I'm doing fantastic, Travis. How about you?
I'm doing good. We got Kurt Sipple as our radio producer today, and Grace McCarran working the video. And of course, our sports director is Bobby Chaffordini. Let's get into it. Let's just start off. Finals are finally over. How does it feel?
It feels pretty great. You know, it wasn't too stressful of my first finals in college, but now I'm gonna get to go back home to LA and not worry about anything for 3 weeks.
I know. Thank you for staying here today. I don't know if I could have done a one-man show.
I think you could have done it. You could have rambled on about the incredible fight we had last night.
I wouldn't say incredible
3
fight.
hours.
Wouldn't say incredible fight, but it was a fight of all time. It was incredible seeing Jake Paul get knocked out. We're gonna really get into that one later.
Yeah, I could have bet $1 and made 15 cents.
Yeah, it was not one of those fights where it looked like Jake was finally gonna lose, like in a convincing way, and that is what happened. But we have a lot going on in the sports world. Today we're actually sponsored. We have a sponsor for today's show.
But tell me about it.
Today, One-on-One is presented by the Brooklyn Nets.
Wow. Brooklyn Nets are sponsoring the show.
Thank you,
Brooklyn Nets.
Thank you, Brooklyn Nets, for sponsoring our show today. We're gonna be giving away tickets later.
January 7th against the Orlando Magic,
for
right?
the game on
heard that.
January 7th against the Orlando Magic. We'll be giving a trivia question out later. Call in and potentially win tickets if you get it right.
Stay tuned for that.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's gonna be around 12:40 or so, and yeah, we got a lot to get into today. We have the college football playoffs. We're obviously gonna talk Jets and Giants and the two struggling franchises. We're gonna talk about the NBA and the NFL. Something everybody's really excited about. Yeah. There's a lot of movement going on in baseball, apparently.
There is, or lack of movement by our New York teams here on the East Coast. And we're also going to talk about the game that was on Thursday night, the Rams-Seahawks, the game of the season. That was a fantastic
There's been a few games
game
of the seasons this year. That was awesome.
The game of the season, though, just because it was 2 11-3 teams. It was for the 1 seed.
JSN making a second-half performance to save my fantasy season.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about the second half, particularly the fourth quarter. That was like the worst Rams regular season loss I've suffered in like a long time.
Yeah, I know. We'll get into that a little later, but there's some stats I want to read out to you about the last time the Rams went to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
That kind of mirrors something. You'll see. But we're going to talk about that, and there's a few funerals we have to give out at the end of our show today. We have in combat sports, we have the retirement of John Cena, the retirement of Bud Crawford, and we're going to say a prayer for Jake Paul's boxing career, because now that it's been 5 years and we've finally seen him get knocked out, I don't know if this could keep happening. It's very interesting to see. Will people still take the fight? Are people still going to be interested in taking Jake Paul fights? But Max, anything you just did over the weekend so far on like Friday? Tough when everybody's...
Yeah, a lot of people have already got home. Yeah, I had a final yesterday, so mostly just hanging around and not doing much. I think my grandfather's here in town, so I've been hanging out with him. You know, he's a big sports guy. We've been hanging out.
What is he like? What teams is he like?
Well, he is from New York, so he's a big Mets fan. He is a big Rangers fan, and he is a big Knicks fan. So, you know, he basically lives and dies by the Knicks and the Mets and the Rangers at this point. So I've been hanging out, watching some games with him. And, I'm producing our excellent women's basketball game tomorrow, and then I'm heading back to sunny Southern California.
I bet you're not enjoying the weather over here right now.
You know what? For my first, full winter in New York, it's honestly not that bad. I can deal with the cold. I'll say that much.
Yeah, being from Connecticut, I'm just kind of used to this. Honestly, this morning was tough. I got up a little. I didn't hear my alarm. I got up at 6:55. I had to be on a 7:12 train.
Really?
And I was like, oh, I'm not gonna make that one. I have to wait for the 7:48. Got on the 7:48. Everything was going so smooth. On my way over to Fordham, I fell asleep. With 20 minutes left, I missed the stop. I had to get off in Harlem. I had to go back on another train, come back north 10 minutes, and I finally made it over here. And I made it to the show today.
Yeah, that's the Canarsie cab, when you fall asleep on the train and you wind up in Canarsie.
Yeah.
So I haven't experienced one of those yet since I've
been
in New York.
It wasn't that bad. It was like, oh, I just missed one stop. It's okay. And
you
it was
live with that.
the conductor woke me up and he looked at me like, you got to be kidding me. And I was like, Listen, it's just one stop. I needed some rest. We got a long show today.
Yeah, that is fair enough. Although I do want to ask you about the cold in terms of your. Do you get used to that feeling when you're walking outside without a beanie and your ears just become like rock hard all of a sudden, or no?
By like this time of year, it's always tough. As when it gets cold, when it starts to really get cold again like this, it's always a little tough, and then your body will start to get used to it a little more.
Okay.
And by February, it's kind of like nothing. That's my advice for an LA guy. Like by February, you'll kind of like going back to LA is not going to help. I think
No.
me staying on the East Coast is like the thing. So you might not get used to it.
No, definitely. I'm gonna come back. It's gonna be like a 50-degree weather drop like that.
Yeah. You'll get used to it eventually. Maybe like a little more time out here by your senior year, you'll get.
Okay. I'll be used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're going back to California like as soon as Monday, no.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm happy to be going back for Christmas, but I came to New York because, plus I kind of like to see the seasons kind of change and progress. It makes me feel like time is going better. Right? California, it's just sunny all the time. You can't tell the difference between like June and December at all. Here you can, but the weather will be nice. I'll be glad to go back to the beach again, even though I don't know if that's exactly a Christmas Day activity or a winter break activity. But
Christmas Day, I've worked at a movie theater the last 3 years. You would be surprised at how many people want to go see movies on Christmas Day. It is a
really, I'm gonna be driving this year on Christmas Day. I think
it's
the best day to drive.
It is having to work on Christmas Day the last 3 years. Thank God I'm not doing that anymore. But it is a pain, and somehow movie theaters are so busy on Christmas Day. I get it; it's the only thing open. And the new movies come out, and everybody's seeing it, and theaters are packed, and you're like, oh, my God, it's Christmas. Why am I here?
Yeah, although apparently with the, I don't know that much about it, but with the Netflix's acquisition of Warner Brothers movie theaters apparently they're dying grass.
Again, I worked at one for 3 years. I'm not going to be the one. I worked at an AMC for 3 years. I'm not going to be the one to.
What was your job? Were you like the?
I cleaned theaters. I worked at concession stand, and then I got promoted to bartender.
Oh wow, that's
so
pretty...
I bartend. Last year, bartending on Christmas Day for 10 hours was honestly a lot of fun. I had a great time doing that.
I didn't even really know there was bartending at an AMC.
Oh yeah.
Is it like a special 21+ AMC?
No,
theater that I haven't heard about.
It's most of the ones here in the Northeast.
Oh, okay. I've only been to like one.
Most of the AMCs here in the Northeast actually have open bars. Yeah, like or not. Oh yeah, like you have to be 21 obviously.
Okay, yeah, we don't have that back out west.
Yeah, and specialty drinks. Let's see here. So we're about to go to break in a second, but I'm so excited to talk about like the sports world today. There's so many great NFL games. We have NBA games today. My Packers are playing the Bears later. That's not going to be fun, especially after Michael Parsons tore his ACL. I'm not excited for the rest of the year.
That was a brutal weekend last weekend with Devontae Adams, Mahomes, and Parsons all going down to ACL tears.
Well, Devontae Adams wasn't
hamstring. Injury, yeah.
But
no, Mahomes and Parsons, yeah.
Mahomes and Parsons is going to be Mahomes. I'm more really hurt as a Packers fan about Parsons. It's because Mahomes at least the season was also over, and granted you don't want to see a player get injured anyways, especially a guy like Mahomes, but they were eliminated from the playoffs
right yeah when he got injured basically was when it was over. Yeah, I just think it was really interesting to sort of see like the NFL was really doing great there, and then you see like three of the league's most popular players. Also, I'd love to have been like a fly in Jerry Jones's home when Micah Parsons got injured and he was watching that game.
I would not have wanted to be a fly in Jerry Jones's
for just that 1 second, and then revert back to my original human form. But maybe the Cowboys.
I would not have wanted to see Jerry Jones's reaction.
Really? Come on, it would have been so funny.
No, that was honestly, if you wanted to be a fly on the wall to anybody's house and to see their reaction, you should have seen mine.
Okay, what was your reaction?
I was, let's just say my roommate had to text me to keep it down. He was studying for finals, and I said, I don't care right now.
Was it one of those moments where you saw it and then your heart just?
I knew it immediately.
Like
you knew it.
8 miles.
I knew it immediately. And I said, "Oh my God, he's out for the year. That is a torn ACL if I've ever seen one." And it would be nice if we could get more holding calls on him next year because Mike McGlinchey did hold on him on that play. But we're about to go to a break real quick, and when we come back, we will be talking about college football. This is WFUV Sports 1-on-1.
And supporting WFUV, the NBA season continues in 2026 with the Brooklyn Nets playing at Barclays Center. Tickets for all home games for the Nets at Barclays are available at Ticketmaster and BrooklynNets.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back on One, New York's longest running sports call-in show, and we are about to talk college football. If you want to call in and talk to us, the number is 718-817-2750. Again, 718-817-2750. If you want to come in and talk about Alabama and Oklahoma yesterday, you can. If you want to come in and talk about the other games, you can. But let's get started with Alabama versus Oklahoma because, man, oh, man, that was very upsetting if you're an Oklahoma Sooners fan. That was a tough game.
Yeah, I watched some of that game. You know, I saw the 17-0 lead. I saw it get blown, and then I honestly wasn't really rooting for either of those two teams because my interest in college football is honestly, ever since I saw Chris Davis return to play in Auburn, Alabama, my interest in college football has just been to see like a moment of that magnitude again. I don't really care who wins the national championship. But, I mean, the game was a good game, but I was sort of hoping once it was, I think it was a 3-point game when it was 27-24, I was sort of hoping that would happen. But, you know, Alabama kind of ran away with it there at the end.
Well, that was a very great performance by Alabama because if you're Alabama, you've heard the talk coming into this year about being the 3-loss playoff team. And granted, and people were saying that they shouldn't be in the playoffs because they lost to FSU, they lost to Georgia, and they lost to this Oklahoma team earlier in the year.
Right.
And what people said about Alabama was, what the playoff committee said is, we are not going to punish Alabama for playing an extra game, the SEC championship, because they were in the SEC championship. And they did not have to play that game. And we're not going to punish them for losing in that game to the point where they're going to miss the playoffs. And yesterday they proved the playoff committee right by avenging one of their losses by 10 points. When John Mater, he threw that interception, he threw a very bad pick six off the screen pass on around third down.
Okay, yeah, I remember watching that.
That was, you could kind of feel the game shift from that point on. It was within like 3 points. It was very close. And then by halftime, it was all tied up. You had that 17-0 first quarter. Going into half, you're all tied up, and as an Oklahoma fan, you're just like, oh no, what's going on here?
Yeah, I remember, I think a little bit, hearing something that, you know, isn't there the argument where either you play the best teams or you get penalized for, like, there's the argument before, should you be penalized for playing an extra game or should you just have to play who's on your schedule and you have to win? So, I mean, I don't really know. I mean, if Alabama didn't make the college football playoffs, it would have been Notre Dame, right? Because that was like outrageous that Notre Dame didn't get in.
Yeah.
But now it's, I guess, but there was no chance that Alabama's going to win the national championship, right? Because they have to go.
Now they have to go
play Indiana.
They have to go play Indiana, but I'm excited to see Indiana versus an SEC school. It's going to be very interesting. Ryan Williams, even though he's one of the people regarded as one of the best receivers in college football, only had 1 catch for 5 yards yesterday. He had 2 targets throughout like the first half, and he only finished with 1 catch. It was very interesting to see. But receiver Lotier Brooks, oh my God, he had 2 of the most. One was a spinning. It was not that far of a touchdown. It was like around like 15, 20 yards. But the way he spun into the end zone, diving for the extra yardage, he did like a. If you ever played Mario Kart, it was kind of like a bullet bill spin.
Oh yeah.
He did that bullet bill spin right into the end zone, which is kind of cool. And he got this. He had a huge touchdown grab. He had one of the craziest college catches. It was like it was a post, or not a post. Sorry, it was a corner route. It was off the safety. He was just able to catch the ball with contact. It was just incredible.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I thought the game was fun. It was a little bit hard for me to differentiate because the jerseys look so similar, though the Reds are the Reds. But it was a good game, and I'm definitely excited for the matchups today, though. We've got one kicking off in just about 45 minutes.
Which, mind you, that should not be kicking off at noon, by the way. I don't know why Oregon and JMU was the night game tonight.
They have to fit 3 games in a day. Oregon JMU is like the premier matchup, you say?
No, Texas A&M Miami is the premier matchup of this college football, like of this round.
Okay, don't they usually put like the premier matchup at 3:30 Eastern?
Yeah,
that's like the best.
But it's Ole Miss versus Tulane. So, again, this is the conversation that is being had between the playoff committee right now about JMU and Tulane making it into the playoffs over Ole Miss because they won their conferences. Obviously, Duke won the ACC. I feel okay. This is what I'm gonna say about the college football playoffs, college football, and Notre Dame in general. Notre Dame just needs to do one thing and one thing only, and that is join the ACC. And Notre Dame has been crying about this for a while now, because they are an independent.
Tell me about that. Why are they they're not part of a conference?
They've always been, and they've always scheduled. The only time Notre Dame has ever been in a conference was when they were in the ACC in 2020 because of the pandemic.
Okay.
Because teams were doing only in-conference games, and Notre Dame being a non-conference school, was not going to get scheduled through anybody. Because Notre Dame likes to do is they just like to schedule. They just schedule people. We're our own entity. We're not joining a conference. We're not going to play a conference schedule. We're going to play we're going to schedule the people to play.
And that benefits them because they can pay a lot of small schools money to go play games there. And
it does, but they also
racked up a better record.
But
basically.
then also at the same time, they also have a bunch of teams. They have a bunch of teams that they get to play. That they get to kind of travel around. They get to go play schools like this year. They played Miami and Texas A&M, which mind you, they kick off at noon. And I feel like that is also the committee telling Notre Dame something like, "Hey, we're scheduling the 2 teams that beat you to play. You're not making the playoffs."
Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
That is one of the interesting stories. If you've seen Jeremiah Love, he put on his Instagram notes, A&M, you know what to do. The Catholics-convicts rivalry is still alive in 2025 after decades. It's something you love to see. But that should be a really great game. Kyle Field is one of I've been to a game at Kyle Field before. I went to the 2018 Texas A&M versus LSU game.
Really?
It was Joe Burrow at Kyle Field. It was 7 overtimes. There was a final score of 74-72. Joe Burrow, the last time he ever lost in college. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. That was the last time they lost a game in college football.
It's so crazy to think about that was a college football team with those 2 players.
It was 7 overtimes, and they changed the overtime rules after that game. It's something I'm never going to be able something I witnessed one time in my life, and I will only see that one time in my life. And Kyle Field is one of the most electric fields in all of football, period.
When did they change the overtime rules to what it is, where it's you get the 2-point conversion
after the third overtime?
The other team goes for the 2-point
It was
conversion.
after that game.
Oh, really? That's the game they changed.
That was the game. They changed it because you start from the 25 each time, and it was just repetitive, and each team kept scoring. So it was a 35-35 game at the end of regulation, and then overtime. The overtime period was 2 hours of itself.
Right, and they scored more points in overtime than they did in the 4 quarters of regulation.
They scored more points in overtime, but it was I'm telling you, the overtime was an entire second game. It
Yeah.
was 2 hours long. It was one of the coolest things I've ever been a part of. And that used to be a yearly trip I would do. Actually, me and my dad, we'd go to college football games, like big time college football matchups on Thanksgiving weekend.
Okay, that's awesome.
And so I got to do that in 2018. Got to see that amazing game with LSU had all the stars. It was the last time they lost. Next year I go to Michigan and Ohio State. Justin Fields is on that team. Ohio State's about to make the playoffs. Michigan's not as good. They're on their losing streak to Ohio State. I get food poisoning at the Big House. I don't get to watch a single snap of the game. I'm throwing up all over the Big House.
Wow, that's rough. I remember the only other time I've missed a sporting event was because I went to Indian Wells, the tennis tournament. Like, it's about 2 hours from LA, and I watched Serena Williams play. And right after the game, I went back to my hotel, and I was gonna go watch Djokovic play the next morning, and I just started throwing up this horrible Mexican food I had for dinner. It was one of the
I
worst
was at the
experiences
game
of my
though.
life.
I made it to the game. That's the thing.
You made it to the game.
I made it to the game. I just couldn't get into my seat because I was in the bathroom just throwing up the entire time. And I left at halftime. I didn't get to watch a single snap, even though Ohio State blew them out.
Oh, yeah,
so I
that's
got
rough.
2 games. I got 2 games the year before, and then I got 1 game the next year. And then the next year was COVID, so I didn't get to go to another one.
Oh, wow.
But the Texas again, though, talking about Texas A&M, potentially like 110,000 people will be at College Station tonight in Texas. Or tonight, I mean, in 40 minutes.
Right.
Probably there right now. It's just gonna be one of those atmospheres, and I think it's gonna be too much for Miami to overcome.
Yeah. Give me your predictions on all these games. Do you think Texas A&M beats Miami?
Texas A&M will beat Miami to go on to play Ohio State. I think Ole Miss will beat Tulane. And I feel like Ole Miss and Oregon are going to murder Tulane and James Madison. These are going to be the blowouts of the college football playoffs, where Miami and A&M will be one of those games. Will be like a close game, maybe 7 or 10 points. It'll be a little bit back and forth. Obviously, we got Carson Beck, Marcel Reed. Marcel Reed is good, but he likes to throw the other team sometimes.
Yeah. Do any of these teams, like, if they advance or when they advance, in the case of Ole Miss and Oregon, as you're arguing, do they even have a chance against like Georgia or Ohio State or Indiana?
So when you look at the I think A&M the winner. So the winner of A&M and Miami will be going on to play Ohio State.
Right. In the Cotton Bowl, yeah.
I don't think they're beating Ohio State. I just think that's not either one of those teams.
Yeah.
I think Oregon has the potential to beat Texas Tech. I think that will be probably the close game
Right.
of that matchup. And Ole Miss at everything has kind of fallen apart. Well, obviously they had an 11-1 season. It was a great season.
Ole Miss, Tulane, both of their head coaches are gone, right?
Lane Kiffin leaving doesn't help. So if they do beat Tulane, I think they will beat Tulane today. But as soon as you get to that University of Georgia game, I feel like that's where the run ends. And I don't know if you remember last year's college football playoffs.
The only thing I really remember about last year's college football playoffs is that Ohio State was ranked like 8th for some reason, and then everybody freaked out about that because they should have been ranked a lot higher because it was like a they're in the wrong conference or something.
That was the thing. But the teams that had the bye week in last year was Oregon. Oregon was the number 1 seed. Georgia was the number 2 seed. Boise State was the number 3 seed, and Arizona State was the number 4 seed. And what happened was, granted, Georgia was badly injured going into that game against Notre Dame. So they lost. But every team that got the bye last year ended up not winning a game. Ended up not winning. Texas beat Arizona State in a game where Cam Scadaboo.
Oh, yeah, I remember that game.
Cam Scadaboo had probably one of the greatest college football games of all time.
Yeah, I was just running over people left and right in that game. I think how many?
No. It's one of these stats. I'm gonna read off the stats here real quick.
All right.
It was. Hold on 1 second. My default browser is now Yahoo for some reason.
Really? That happens to me like once every 2 years, and it takes like a week to change back.
Yeah, I need to change that back. But Arizona State and Texas had it was a 39-31 overtime game. Cam Scadaboo's stat line was, oh boy, let's read this out loud. 30 carries for 143 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Along with 8 receptions for 99 yards and a 1-for-1 passing with a 42-yard passing touchdown.
Wow, that's like a CMC stat line
That-
before Christian McCaffrey.
He had
basically.
2 rushing
That was just
touchdowns, a
insane.
passing touchdown, and almost 100 receiving yards.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Near 300-yard game alone from Cam Scadaboo. It's one of the most impressive things I think I've ever seen. And the fact that he fell to the 5th round is crazy. I'm hoping for another game like that this year. Oregon got upset in the first round by Ohio State.
But everyone predicted Ohio State was going to win that game anyway, right?
Yeah,
even though it was like an 8-1.
I know, yeah.
Everyone thought Ohio State was still
And
gonna win.
Oregon beat them in the regular season. You kind of had this feeling like, okay, Ohio State's going to pick it up. And that's my prediction for. Honestly, I think Alabama could beat Indiana. I think Alabama might shock some people. And I feel like that's just what tends to happen.
Well, I'm going to be in LA. Maybe I should go to that game at the Rose Bowl Thursday, January 1st. Yeah, I should go. The only Rose Bowl game I ever went to was in 2016 when Michigan played. I was at the Rose Parade. You know what that
Who did they
is?
play in that game?
I have no idea. I quite literally have no idea because I remember the morning they have a Rose Parade, which is basically near the Rose Bowl. They just have a big parade. And I was 9 years old, so that was what excited me more than the football game itself. But that was certainly a day that, was a lot of stuff to do.
Talk to me a little bit more about the Rose Bowl.
About the Rose Bowl? I mean,
Like about
the
like the
stadium?
like not even just that, but like the tradition. Like something I love about college football is its traditions. College football is one of these sports that is really like found on its traditions and
Right.
like its tradition thing. Like talk to me a little more about like what that was like.
Yeah, I mean, it was super cool. I mean, the Rose Bowl stadium itself is in Pasadena, which is like, if you've been to LA, it's one of like the nicer areas of LA. And traveling there, you go through a lot of traffic, but it's a ginormous stadium. You've got fans all around. You've got like you've got 2 jumbotrons, one on either side of the stadium, and I mean, it's one of the only college football stadiums I'll ever been to. But the atmosphere was really electric. It was a beautiful day. And, I think the game was good. I'm going to see if I could look up and see who played in that game. I know
It was Florida.
Florida, Michigan was the game.
That was Florida, Michigan.
Florida, Michigan. All right, let's see who won because I don't remember.
And-
Let's see if I saw a good game. I'm actually genuinely curious.
Oh, actually, wait. Florida 2016 Rose Bowl. It says it was actually Stanford and Iowa.
Okay, maybe it was Stanford, Iowa. I know Michigan played. Let's see when the last time they played the Rose Bowl because I'm genuinely curious whether I saw a good game when I went to this game or not.
Was it in 2016 or was it 2015?
2017. It was 2017. It was Michigan, Arizona. Okay, so it was like 3 days after that. Oh, it was a great game. It was 46-44. It was a thrilling triple overtime game. So look at that. I've seen a great college football game.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
It's one of, like I love the traditions in college football. Every school seems to have their own like tradition. Texas A&M, I know they have the yell practice thing. Everybody seems to have like, and it's college game day every year. They do a great job of putting those productions on, and it's like one of these things where the students get involved and like win money and all that stuff. It's one of those sports where it's just like the passion is so there.
Yeah.
And I had friends like back in high school. I would watch like who watched NFL and everything. And because being from the Northeast, they're like, "There's no way college football is like probably more popular than the NFL." And I'm like,
In a lot of places
it's
it is, yeah.
religion in the South. Like, and they're like, "Yeah, no, we understand why." And it's just the passion of college football.
Yeah. Do you
It's
think
something that's it's not gonna be replicated. It's the fan passion, at least. The player passion has started to dwindle over the years, due to like. But honestly, that's I think also just the evolution of the sport right there. The player passion isn't there anymore, but the fans will always be there, which is great.
how many tries do you think it would take for you to make a field goal if Pat McAfee offered you a lot of money?
I played offensive line. It would take me a million.
A million tries.
I've tried this. I've tried this before.
Okay. I think it would take me 8. The first like 3 I would get my leg into it. The next 3 I'd get like the angle, and then I'd knock in the last 2, and I'd win $500,000, and then I'd go ridiculous on the sideline, and everybody would jump me. That's like that and becoming like a mid-major March Madness like white guy who hits like 8 threes are like my biggest sports fantasies basically. Like imagine going to school the next day. Yeah, I just did that.
Yeah, you give me any blocking challenges, Pat, I'll happily do them.
Yeah, I wouldn't be good at that. I'd get bowled over. Like Cam Scadabo bowling over guys.
Give me some blocking challenges. I think I'd be able to do that easily. But I'm so excited to watch how this college football playoffs. Like, People don't like obviously people didn't like it when the national championship was originally one team, like one and one. It was 1 and 2 playing, and then they expanded it to 4, and people were like, "Ooh, no, I don't like this." And now it's at 12 and potentially going to 16. But I think people say it's killing the actual bowl games itself.
Right.
Like the normal bowls, like Notre Dame is not playing in a bowl game anymore. They're not playing one of the New Year's bowls.
Right.
Wonder why. They're mad.
Yeah. What was the logic behind that, withdrawing to play a bowl game for like all the seniors? That'd be their last game, and they just didn't want to do it.
They are furious about missing out on this playoff.
Okay. The committee rigged them. They don't want to.
They are so mad at the college football structure itself. They just want to watch the world burn.
Right.
They're like, we don't care about playing anymore.
So is part of the reason that they're not in the college, is part of the reason they missed because they weren't in a conference, and it's like some of college football is just like, yeah.
I'm telling you, if
I
they
hate
were in
you for not being
it
in a
was
conference.
it was literally the reason they missed, because Duke ended up winning the ACC at 8-5, and usually the ACC winner has a spot reserved.
Right. Okay.
In the college, because they're one of the big conferences, but
Right.
the ACC has fallen off so much over the last couple of years. It used to be Clemson would dominate back in the day. They had Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence. Those days, and Dabo Swinney, those days are long gone. Dabo Swinney hasn't adjusted to the modern day college football because he likes to recruit from the ground up. Like, he likes to recruit for high school. He doesn't like to take the transfers on.
Yeah.
And the transfers are what wins championships.
Right.
In this age now of NIL and people wanting to leave. So he's had all these kids come in and they've been mediocre, and they just end up transferring right out of there.
Okay. Yeah, that's what's been tearing my favorite college football team across, the San Diego State Aztecs, is that all of our best players have just been leaving to go to these like mid schools for more money, and then they end up going to the best school. But the Aztecs were actually they were three results away this year from making the college football playoffs. They needed Duke to win a game, and then they needed 2 other results, and they would have been the 12 seed going against Oregon in the first round. It would have been a program-defining moment. It would have been incredible, but it didn't happen. So now we have to watch James Madison get destroyed today at 7:30 Eastern.
I'm excited for that one. JMU, I remember I had a bunch of friends that went there, and when they first got College Game Day a couple of years ago, I had a few friends that were out there till 7 a.m. in the morning.
Really?
All day. It was electric. San Diego State Aztecs are going to be playing the North Texas Mean Green in the New Mexico Bowl.
Yeah, I'll be watching that game, but I won't lose any sleep over who wins. But we made a bowl game this year, which is an actual known bowl game, which is kind of impressive for the program. I think we went 10-3.
Yeah,
good.
We do have a lot of bowl games coming up over the next couple weeks that I am excited for. We got UConn in one against Army, or actually is it Navy? I have the list of games right here.
Okay.
BYU Georgia Tech will be in the Pop-Tart Bowl. Is going to be a fun one. It is UConn versus Army, the Fenway Bowl at Fenway Park.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah. The Arizona Bowl, Miami of Ohio versus Fresno State. Fresno State, Derek Carr, Devontae Adams. I ended up watching the MAC championship the other I was bored and I was.
Oh, you watched the whole thing?
I wouldn't say the whole thing. I was kind of waiting for UFC to come on, but I did end up watching the MAC championship game where the Western Michigan Broncos blew out Miami of Ohio.
Yeah, I didn't watch that game. I actually didn't even know who won.
I don't blame you for not watching that game, but again, I have a deep down I have a passion for the MAC a little bit. College football 25, I took Akron, the Akron Zips, to 3-time national champions, because I wanted to say that I wanted my dynasty to be perfect, and I said, we're just kids from Akron, guys. We are going to win 3 straight national championships. I chose Akron only because LeBron is from Akron.
And Steph Curry.
And Steph, you know they were born in the same hospital.
I did know they were born in the same hospital.
Yeah.
That's a great story. Almost as great as the Matthew Stafford and Clayton Kershaw were teammates in high school story. But the LeBron and Steph
being born in the same, I feel like that's crazy.
I don't know. How many hospitals are there in Akron? There's probably 3. So
it's the fact that 2 of the greatest basketball players of a generation were born in Akron, Ohio.
Yeah, that is true.
And they won 3 straight national championships on my Xbox.
Yeah, that's one of the things I miss most about being about college, is playing actual video games on a console. Now I just play Madden Mobile on my phone, basically. So
Shout out
that's-
Retro Bowl.
I like Retro Bowl, but Retro Bowl I played on the plane because you don't need Wi-Fi for that. But you can't really play against other actual people.
Yeah, I know. But the MAC is happening. The college football is happening. I'm so excited for these games. A&M kicks off in 26 minutes, and if Marcel Reed is looking like how he looked against Texas and how he looked in the first half of South Carolina, it is not going to be good. Luckily, he is coming back to the program next year. He just has this bad habit of he likes to throw to the other team sometimes. He's very pinpoint accurate. It's just to the other team sometimes. And granted, they went 11-1 this year. They blew it against Texas. Could have had the first undefeated season, SEC championship. They could have made a first-round bye in the college football playoffs, but no, they were coming in as a 7th seed.
Yeah.
Got to get past Miami now.
All right, we're gonna be watching that game. We're gonna give everybody listening updates throughout the show.
We will have updates throughout the show about that. If you guys want to call in and talk about it, the number is 718-817-2750. That is the number. And we have the steamrolls today for Georgia. Or not for Georgia, for JMU. We might send JMU off and Tulane.
That'll be after we're off there. But
I'm
we
happy
could do a pre-funeral for them now before the game even starts.
I'm happy we got to see you guys in the playoffs. And who knows, maybe Tulane does come back and beat Ole Miss with Ole Miss's chaos that has happened. 84% win chance from Ole Miss today.
Yeah, it doesn't even just making the call. Isn't that like a huge moment for any program like JMU? Because now they attract so much more talent in the transfer portal because they've gotten to the stage of the college football playoffs that people are going to want to come to the school.
Exactly. Oregon has an 82% chance to win today. And A&M Miami right now is the matchup predictor on ESPN is 54-3% and 45-7%. So that's that's going to be the even game of the day.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited to watch these games. It's college football is here, and then especially the next round. New Year's Day, you don't have to sit around and do anything. You could just New Year's Day. Who knows if you have a headache from the night before? You were out till 5 a.m.
Yeah, I definitely will.
You wake up and it's just straight perfect. You have college football all day that you just get to watch and just see what happens and see what history gets made this year, and see which way people are going to be complaining about the playoff format again. But it is 11:37, so we are going to send it to a little break right now. And when we come back, we will be talking about our New York sports team, the Jets and Giants.
Hello everyone, I'm Trey Rodriguez, calling you to tune in to WFUV Sports One-on-One, New York's longest running sports call-in show. We're live every Saturday on YouTube from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and later at night on 90.7 FM from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. We cover the latest news in the sports world with our wide range of beat reporters, as well as exclusive interviews with your favorite athletes. We'll see you next Saturday on One-on-One.
And we are back. And after talking about college football, you know what happens when you finish college and you as a college football player?
You get a job in a corporate 9 to 5.
Well, no, you go to the pros. So now it's time to
All right.
cover.
That was gonna be my second guess.
Well, Fernando Mendoza has a LinkedIn page, which is very funny.
He does.
Yeah, with all the internships he's worked at over the last summers, and
I'm
he's won the
gonna find
Heisman. It is very interesting because he might need that LinkedIn page after getting drafted by the Jets.
yeah, the Jets known for.
We're talking about the
ruining
Jets and
quarterbacks.
Giants right here, and this is very interesting because these two teams I feel like are going to be intertwined this offseason. If the Giants can potentially hold on to their number 1 overall pick. I am very excited to see how the Giants currently have the number 1 overall pick in the 2026
Right.
NBA draft, which will be held in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
They have the pick in the NBA draft.
Or NFL draft,
No,
sorry.
it's okay.
Oh,
they might get better if they had the first pick in the NBA draft, to be honest, because we all know they're going to screw up the first pick.
The Giants?
Yeah.
There's no way they're screwing this up.
They'll probably beat the Vikings tomorrow and lose the first pick.
Well, the game to be concerned about
Is the
is the
Raiders,
Raiders. But the Giants are potentially in a dream scenario with this. You ever heard of a website called Tankathon?
Yeah, that measures each team's remaining strength of schedule, right?
Nope. Tankathon is
Almost
what
had
it does is it shows you the draft orders and everything.
Okay.
So the Las Vegas Raiders and New York Giants are currently tied, and the Tennessee Titans are currently tied for the worst record in the league.
It also shows strength of schedule.
It does show
See
strength
there?
of
It does
schedule.
show strength of schedule.
So
The Giants have the easiest, or no, they don't have the easiest. They have the worst record. I can't really sort by strength of schedule. But yeah, they're playing. So that game basically decides who's going to get the number 1
Well,
pick in the draft.
also
essentially,
Tennessee could still be in there as well in that conversation.
right? Okay.
But what I'm excited to see
Right.
about with the Giants is we have a guy in Fernando Mendoza who is going to be the consensus number 1 overall pick.
Right.
You've had takes all week about Colin Cowherd saying trade Jackson Dart and draft Mendoza. I wouldn't do that if I was in the New York Giants. Jackson Dart, I mean, he's looked electric this year when he's been healthy.
Right.
He just
Plus,
needs,
we know he can play in the NFL.
he just needs to learn how to slide. He needs to take less hits, and he just needs to play a little more quarterback sometimes and
yeah.
not get a little too crazy and come into the second year having fully played. You have your receiver who tore his ACL the moment he got in. He's coming back. But
Right.
if let's say hypothetically the Giants do end up with the number 1 overall draft pick, man, the team same with Tennessee as well because they have Cam Ward.
Right.
Las Vegas, Cleveland, the Jets, Arizona, and New Orleans are all going to be looking for quarterbacks, and they're all going to be looking to trade up
Yeah.
to draft Mendoza. And that is a haul you could potentially get somebody you could potentially get to trade back down. It's almost reminiscent of the Bears in 2023 in the 2023 draft when the Bears had the number 1 overall pick, but they had believed Fields was the guy,
Right.
and Carolina wanted Bryce Young, and they ended up giving a haul of picks. They did a pick swap. They moved up to the number 1 overall pick. They gave them their pick next year in the draft, and they gave them DJ Moore.
Right.
And Carolina ended up having the worst record in the league and ended up getting the Bears the number 1 overall pick the next year because of
But
that.
Bryce Young's been a good quarterback. So
and Caleb Williams was that pick right there.
Right.
Uh,
and he's
We're not on the general NFL thoughts yet, but I don't think Bryce Young is a franchise quarterback.
I don't know. I think that I don't know. I'm still upset about how the Rams lost to the Panthers.
He's too
and Bryce
inconsistent.
Young came back and
But
won that game.
the New York Jets, people love dunking on the New York Jets.
well,
It's something that's very easy to do.
Yeah.
And granted, they have screwed this situation up before. Even though they drafted really well when they traded 2 first-round picks for Jamal Adams to the Seahawks for Jamal Adams, they ended up drafting Alijah Tucker and Garrett Wilson with those draft picks.
Right.
They did succeed on those picks, but they are known for not being one of those organizations. But right now with the Sauce Gardner trade, they're looking on the right side of history. The Colts gave up 2 first-round draft picks way too prematurely, thinking they had a Super Bowl team.
Yeah.
And
They still do. Phillip Rivers. That is going to lead them to a Super Bowl. I promise you it's going to happen.
You sound delusional.
It would be just absolute cinema. Can you imagine?
It
He's going to beat the 49ers on Monday Night Football, and he's going to lead them into the playoffs. And, yeah, I don't know.
You know he still has to play Houston one more time?
He's training Anthony Richardson, though. Did you see that? To take his spot,
Yeah.
basically, after he comes
Oh, wait,
back.
they do not have to. Yes, they still have to play Houston in Week 18. Let's not get way too ahead of ourselves right there. Let's come back and focus on the New York Jets.
Okay,
real
let's
quick.
focus on the Jets.
Because potentially, let's say the Colts miss the playoffs.
Right.
You get 2 quality first-round draft picks that you could trade up and get Mendoza. And then also, mind you, in 2027, they have 3 first-round draft picks to work with. They have 5 first-rounders over the next 2 years.
Right.
And that's because of the Quinnen Williams trade was for the Quinnen Williams trade was for first rounder next year. It was not for one this year. So the Colts have 2 first-round draft picks this year and 3 first-round draft picks next year. The Jets have that.
Yeah.
The Colts and Cowboys or the Packers, depends on who has the worst record in 2027.
Yeah, I just feel like until the Jets get a good, solid quarterback that can lead them to wins, all of these draft picks are just going to turn into good players that they're going to eventually have to trade at the deadline for more draft picks, and it's just going to be a never-ending cycle of trying to draft right until they get, right now they're the 5. Are they going to get a franchise quarterback with that?
Well, no, I don't think they're going to get a franchise quarterback at 5, but they are the ones with the tools to trade up to get Fernando Mendoza, I think.
Imagine if the Giants get the first pick, though, would they help the Jets and just be like, sure, we'll give our crosstown rivals the Heisman
I wouldn't say
winner?
they're as much rivals. They only play once every 4 years or so because of how the division scheduling works out. It's the AFC, NFC. They're not as bad of rivals as you would think. Like, it's not like the Mets and Yankees where it's a die-hard hatred.
Yeah, but, I mean, they're in the same city, right?
They play in the same stadium. It's not like the Giants don't need the quarterback. If the Jets call and they're like, "Hey, we'll give you 2 or 3 first-round draft picks for this," you're gonna we could give more than what Cleveland can give. We could give more than what Las Vegas can give. You're gonna pick up that phone call and do that trade right away and give the Jets their star quarterback.
Yeah,
it's not something you're not gonna want to do. The New York Jets just have the draft capital to do this. And when you look at the other teams, they don't. Like, that's what you get when you trade away Sauce Gardner, 2 first-round draft picks. Quinnen Williams get an extra first-round draft pick that year. You have a top 5 pick of your own. Let's say everything finishes the way it is right now, and the Giants are still, in the next couple of weeks, the Giants are still number 1, and the Jets are still number 5. Are you telling me you're not going to give up a first-round draft pick next year, one of the first-round draft picks next year, or maybe both of the first-round draft picks next year, and a pick swap where you drop down from 1 to 5?
Yeah, I mean,
the Giants are going to take that in a heartbeat, and that's more than the rest of them could give up.
Right.
That is more than Cleveland is able to give up. Even though Cleveland does have 2 first-round picks this year, but Jacksonville's looking really good, and without the player that Jacksonville traded that pick for, in Travis Hunter, so Jacksonville's pick is going to be a late-round pick. Indianapolis is potentially going to be an early pick this year. Or at least before the playoff picks within the top 18.
Yeah.
Indianapolis next year, potentially another top 18 pick. Dallas is picked next year, potentially another top 18 pick. Like, it's one of those things where, man, they're really getting to the point where the Jets have the capital. The Jets are the only team with the capital to do this.
Yeah, I mean, they're set up. I just feel like they need so much help in order to become a contending team. Like, a franchise quarterback doesn't really fix all of their issues.
Well, it doesn't fix all of their issues necessarily, but then guess what? They still I'm saying trade 3 first-round draft picks. They still have 2 left over.
Yeah, I mean, but what are the odds of hitting on all of those draft picks?
It's not, the Jets recently have not been notoriously bad drafters. They just haven't. Well, they went all in 2023 when it came to Aaron Rodgers, and that didn't work out.
Yeah.
It's a very sad thing to see.
He's thriving now. Thriving in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. So the Jets have 3 more games left this year. They're playing the Saints tomorrow, which should be an interesting one. But Patriots and Bills.
Yeah.
So potentially they could move up in the tankathon.
Right.
And the Giants potentially also have the Vikings tomorrow, the Raiders, and the Cowboys. The Raiders game is going to be huge.
Right. So
that's going to be huge for draft capital because if that happens, the Raiders will just take Mendoza themselves.
Right. So Jets, Saints, and Giants, Raiders are really the only ones that matter, and the other 4 games collectively are just sure to be losses, unless the Bills or the Patriots have clinched a division spot by then.
By that point, though, I think both of them are going to be playing in that week to try and get that number 1 spot locked up.
Yeah, because the Patriots are, unless the Bill, yeah, probably you're right.
But for the Giants as well, the Giants at this point, they're the worst team of all time, I would say. This Giants team, this 2025 Giants team is the worst team of all time. Because unlike previous years for Giants fandoms where it's just been heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak, they've been in games this year.
Yeah.
This is not one of those years where they've been in games. They had the 3-point loss, overtime loss to the Cowboys.
That was the Russell Wilson game.
Yep,
yeah.
they did beat the Eagles. They beat the Chargers in Jackson Dart's first start. They almost beat they blew that game against the Broncos. They've had competitive games against the guys like the Bears, the Packers, the Lions was also competitive. They just haven't been winning.
Yeah, but that's the thing. The NFL is a league where you need to close out games and you have to win. I mean, that's what's happened.
And that's why Shane Bowen has lost his job, defensive coordinator.
Yeah, that's what's happened to the Rams. The Rams are 11-4, and their
Both-
4 losses, they've had an 80% chance of winning.
Both
those
New
games
York
in the
teams
second
have
half.
fired their defensive coordinators this year, by the way. But I also think Aaron Glenn could potentially go one and done. I think
Eric Glenn's a really good coach.
here. Can I say something?
Sure, that's what we're here for, right?
I'm gonna say something about Aaron Glenn, and I think him and the Jets should move on at the end of this year. But nothing I don't think he did that good of a job. I feel like the New York media was a little too much for him. As well, the way he handled the New York media was not in the best way. And granted, the New York media is really tough. It's probably the toughest market to play in. That's for any sport, by the way, not just football.
Yeah, I mean.
But
I don't know. Do you really move on from a guy on how he handles the media?
Well, no. But here's what I'm gonna say. If you potentially trade up for the get the number 1 overall pick and take Fernando Mendoza, try and get an offensive mastermind in there. In there for Mendoza, try and make it you know what I mean, But for Aaron Glenn, I feel like what would be perfect for him and I don't want to say this. But when you looked at the Detroit Lions this year, and we talk about losing Ben Johnson and losing Aaron Glenn as their coordinators,
he's going back.
So here's the thing: Ben Johnson has been as much as I hate to say it as a Packers fan. Ben Johnson has been great for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, good, better,
but
best.
the Lions' offense hasn't lost a step. The Lions' offense is still very good.
No.
But their defense has been terrible this year.
No.
It's kind of like Ben Johnson might be the better coach, but Aaron Glenn is the coach that the Lions desperately need back, and not Ben Johnson. They could live without Ben Johnson. It's been tough. It's been a tough world living without Aaron Glenn this year.
Yeah, they've
and
also
I feel like
lost so many defensive players.
I feel like if you're the Jets, you kind of just you view this year as your ultimate reset. You paid the wrong quarterback in Justin Fields money. You got the wrong coach for what your future is, and this has nothing to be with Aaron Glenn on why you're getting rid of him as well. I just feel like you want to bring in an offensive-minded head coach for a guy like Fernando Mendoza.
The Jets have had a lot of reset years, though. Eventually, at some point, you got to make a plan and stick with it.
Well, this is the plan year, because sometimes you don't. Another thing is, granted, again, when you're the general manager of the Jets, he just took over the job this year.
Yeah.
As well. Sometimes you don't want a coach coming in with a rookie quarterback, what's it called? Aaron Glenn is going to be coming in the next year with the second quarterback at the time. It's kind of like the Steve Wilkes situation. You just kind of put your faith in the wrong quarterback. But again, if you want Fernando Mendoza to develop, I feel like you really want an offensive guy in there. I feel you don't want a defensive mastermind like Glenn, which, mind you, the defense, Steve Wilkes has been fired as defensive coordinator. This Jets defense is looking like the first team in NFL history, by the way, to go without 7 turnovers on a year.
Right. Do they have an interception yet, or are they?
They have 2 turnovers on the year.
I was watching last week, and I think there was a stat on the broadcast that said they still don't have an interception.
So no team has finished with under 7 turnovers. No defense has ever finished with under 7 turnovers. The 7 has been the minimum turnovers a team has always gotten in the NFL. This is the first year the Jets defense might break that record. And for defensive mastermind Aaron Glenn, granted, the pieces you're working with, you traded away your best pieces.
Yeah, you've got nothing.
You did trade away your 2 best pieces. The pieces you're working with aren't that well right now. But at the same time, what does that say?
Well, you got to make something happen with what you have, yeah.
Got to make at least a little something happen with what you had. It's not one of those things. But so I feel like it might just be hey, we jumped the gun on you. We jumped the gun on Justin Fields. We did not assemble a good football team going into this offseason. We're doing a hard reset this year. As you could tell, we traded away everybody. Aaron, thank you so much, but Detroit needs you as the defensive coordinator. And I think he will go back and be the defensive coordinator in Detroit, and I think he'll work his way back to a head coaching job again. It's just not with the dysfunction of the New York Jets.
Yeah, my only thing to say is that, like, what happens at this time next year when you've hired a new head coach, you've drafted a new quarterback, you've gotten 2 more pieces to develop on defense, and then you've shipped them away to playoff contenders, and you're back again in the same situation.
Well, next year is really the building block year. That's the build year. You're not expected to be good, but you're expected to show improvement and be like, okay, this is the guy we could start to build around.
That's what people said this year, though.
Well, Justin Fields wasn't the guy you built around.
Yeah, but you've got a new head coach. You have to start creating a culture and a stable of something.
But with a brand new number 1 overall pick, Heisman quarterback coming in, and an offensive minded head coach, that's when you start. So let's say the Jets finish with 4 wins this year. They win 1 more. Maybe they win the Saints game.
Okay, they finished 4-13.
Aaron Glenn leaves. You can bring in a new offensive coach, and you give up that little bit of a haul to get Mendoza, which you can afford. Next year you get around 6 or 7 wins, and that's our 1-6-7 reference for the day. We're gonna leave it at that right there.
Okay.
You get 6 or 7 wins. You draft more pieces around him. You get Garrett Wilson's maybe happy to stay now. He doesn't want to get traded. Maybe Breece Hall's happy now. You maybe get another wide receiver to complement them, or you get somebody on the defensive side of the ball. You start
It's a lot of ifs.
It is a lot of ifs.
A lot of ifs.
There's a lot of ifs.
I don't even think they're going to trade up to the number 1 pick.
I think they are. They're the only team with the capital to do so, and I feel like if the Jets want to make a splash, Mendoza's got to be it.
Yeah, but if the Raiders win this game, they're just going to keep it and take Mendoza for themselves because they need it. Or the Raiders lose, I guess they would get the first pick.
That is true. But I feel like Kenny Pickett's going to make something happen against that Giants defense.
Yeah, I don't think so. But, we'll see.
Really? Well, he didn't look that bad. Well, he did look really bad against the Eagles. But granted, also, that's like Eagles are one of the best defensive teams in the whole league. And that was also the team he played on last year. Mind you, Kenny Pickett is a Super Bowl champion quarterback. So that defense, what?
Yeah.
Oh, you're giving me a look.
That's like saying, I don't know. That's like saying, who's like the worst player on the Knicks bench?
Kurt, you think you could answer that one for us? Worst player on the Knicks bench? Oh, on the Knicks? Oh, I thought you said Nets. My fault.
No.
I thought he said Nets. My bad.
Okay, the worst player on the Knicks bench is an NBA Cup champion, or the worst player on the Thunder is an NBA Cup. Kenny Pickett didn't do anything.
No. Well,
he's got the experience though.
Jimmy Garoppolo, 2-time Super Bowl champion.
Yeah, but Jimmy Garoppolo actually is had years where he was a decent
and
NFL
he made it
quarterback.
to a Super Bowl. Yeah, but you still can't deny that Kenny Pickett, Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm trying to think of who else. Tyrod Taylor, current Jets quarterback, Super Bowl champion.
Right. I don't know. I think all that stuff you're saying with the Jets is basically what Jets fans have been hoping for years and years.
Carson Wentz,
years
Super
on
Bowl
end.
champion.
Yeah, but Carson Wentz actually won. Well, he didn't win a Super Bowl. He got them to the Super Bowl, and then Nick Foles won the Super Bowl.
So if Carson Wentz, if the Chiefs had won last year, would you say Carson Wentz 2-time Super Bowl champion? Yes. Yes, you would.
Yeah, but that doesn't change how good he is as a quarterback. It just changes his accolades, and you're not paying players for what they've done.
Kenny Pickett was a Heisman Trophy finalist. Kenny Pickett is a Super Bowl champion, and he was a first-round draft pick. That's all you need. That is a success.
Jameis Winston won the Heisman, and we're gonna say that he's an all-time amazing quarterback because of his all-star his accolades.
No, I just don't like Kenny Pickett slander. He was awesome when he first made his debut against the Jets. By the way, I was at University Pittsburgh, I was at in one of the dorm rooms.
Yeah.
And when Kenny Pickett made his first start against Pitt, against the Jets for the Pittsburgh Steelers, you heard the entire building start to shake of roars. It was crazy because everybody was watching it.
Yeah.
You can't hate Kenny Pickett.
He seems like a good dude, and he's got a great football name, Kenny Pickett.
Yeah. And also, yes, I do want to consider Jameis Winston one of the greatest players of all time, just because he's really funny. It doesn't matter about the 30 for 30 year, by the way, would just need some credit. 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. Only Jameis Winston can do that.
Yeah.
That's a gunslinger, by the way. So our Jets and Giants segment is about to end. We're about to go into the general NFL section of our show. We are presented by the Brooklyn Nets today. I'm joined by Max Langer and Kurt Sippel, our radio producer, just chimed in, and Grace McCarron, our video producer. New York's longest-running call-in show, one-on-one. And if you want to call in, 718-817-2750.
Hey, what's up? It's Owen Kelty, one of WFUV Sports' New York Knicks beat reporters. Jalen Brunson and the New York Knicks look to dominate the East and bring a championship back to New York. Keep up all season long on my X account at Owen Kelty for all the highs and lows of New York Knicks basketball. WFUV Sports is your home for all things Knicks.
You're listening to WFUV, New York.
We are back here for one-on-one, New York's longest-running sports call-in show. Max, we are about to talk general NFL and what's going on in the NFL as a whole. If you want to call in and talk to us, 718-817-2750. And today's episode is sponsored by the great Brooklyn Nets. Shout out Brooklyn Nets. But switching from basketball to football real quick, it's playoff season. It's almost time. Oh, my God. The NFL playoffs, they might be my favorite thing in sports. And that's coming from a guy that likes to sit down and watch 8 hours of combat sports on a Saturday. UFC fights on Saturdays.
And NFL playoffs are really good. My Rams suffered an awful loss on Thursday that, I can't say Puka was wrong about his comments about the refs because that game was rigged from start to finish, and now the seeding in the NFC is totally out of whack, and anybody from 1 to 7 could end up with the top record and get the bye now.
This is one of the craziest things the season's ever so far. No team has clinched the division yet, by the way. No team has clinched the division. 3 teams have clinched the playoffs heading into Week 16, which is insane to think about. Only 3 teams have clinched the playoffs. The Broncos are the only team to have clinched in the AFC, and the Seahawks and Rams have clinched in the NFC. Let's look at the NFC side of the playoffs right now because, oh my God, do I love it. I love every second of every game we're going to get.
We're going to have great divisional round matchups. It's going to be whoever gets the 1 seed, and then the other 3 games are going to be Bears and Packers interspersed with the Rams and the Niners and whoever the other teams are good.
So the right now, the 2-7 game would be Bears-Packers.
Yeah, it's a great game.
Which happens today, by the way. They are playing today. Bears and Packers are playing today for the winner of this game will win the NFC North. I am a Packers fan, and I currently have lost all hope in life, and I don't know what to think right now. I'm hurt. I'm broken. I don't like the sport anymore. That was one of the most egregious things I've ever seen in my life, and how that doesn't even get called for a horse collar is mind-blowing.
No.
Our defense is cooked, as the kids would say. Cooked, chopped up, whatever. The secondary has been our secondary play in Green Bay has not been great. Has been honestly awful all year, and it's been covered up by this amazing man out of Penn State, and thanks to Jerry Jones by Michael Parsons. His pass rush ability and his ability to get to the quarterback, and just the relentless tank that he is causing chaos on everywhere in the field. Xavier McKinney's still a great guy. Our cornerback play has not been excellent. but he's been masking so many of the flaws of the Packers defense, and with him gone now, it's when they played the Bears the last time, Caleb had a terrible first half and he started rolling in the second half. But Caleb Williams had to roll out of the pocket on every play. He was either rolling to the right or the left on every play, and that was because of Micah Parsons. That's not happening anymore today. With Rashawn Gary taking the charge back, you need Lucas Van Ness to really step up and have his be the 13th overall pick that he was. He's been hurt all year. He was starting to step up with Mike in the lineup. He's been missed the entire year. He's just coming back now. You need these young players to step up if you're Green Bay. You traded too much away. Micah being out sucks. Your receivers are constantly getting hurt.
Yeah.
And Josh Jacobs has had this lingering issue where he's like questionable to play. And if he does, even though he's been going off, if he does play, he might get even more hurt. This is my Packers funeral right here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think they probably don't have enough ammo to get through what is going to be 4 rounds of playoff football. But, I personally don't think Jordan Love is a quarterback that can lead a team to a Super Bowl anyway.
I disagree on that. I feel like if you were to have like a receiver like Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase or one of these really, really elite guys, instead of having like the Packers developmental way and everything, I feel like we'd be showing like a much different thing. Tucker Kraft tearing his ACL also in the season did not help. Arguably one of the best tight ends in the league.
Yeah.
Not somebody like one of the things you want to see go down. I am turning this into Packers talk though right now. I do want to move away from that, even though that game is tonight. Packers and Bears will be playing at Soldier Field. The Bears have not won a game at beat the Packers at Soldier Field since 2018, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I forgot we have Saturday NFL now. These are like the best weekends of the year because you have football both days.
Exactly. And then we got double football today, too, as we talked about with college.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to see what happens in that one. And then the other games this week are the Jaguars and Broncos is going to be amazing.
Yeah, that's a good game.
That is
a massive playoff implications
which
there.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
Before
like
the season? Yeah, I would.
Like
Been
I knew Denver was going to be in the playoff hunt, but Jacksonville and Denver, and then without Travis Hunter too, when it comes to Jacksonville.
Yeah, I don't know. Every year there's always like 1 or 2 surprise teams. And
I
this
feel
year
like
it's Jacksonville and New England.
I want to talk about Jacksonville real quick because I feel like they're set up for the future big time. They have just signed Jacoby Myers to an extension.
Right, $20 million a year is a lot.
Good for him. He's been bouncing around a little bit, but he's always been very consistent. He's going off right now. Brian Thomas Jr. is going back off. Brian Thomas Jr. Yep, I almost got his name mixed up with somebody else for a second. Brian Thomas Jr. has been going off recently. He started the year off really slow, but now he's starting to make his little comeback and look like the player he was last year. And then again, Travis Hunter was been deactivated for the season, and then you start to think you either get an elite cornerback or you get Travis Hunter coming back into the next year. It's one of those things that like this team is set up for the future, and they do not regret trading that first round draft pick for. Even though the guy didn't have as much production, Jacksonville is 10-4, one or 2 wins away from clinching a playoff spot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a great game. I think another game that I'm really looking forward to is tomorrow on Sunday Night Football, New England and Baltimore, because that's a game the Ravens kind of need for to try to win their division against Pittsburgh, and then the Patriots also need that game because they're only a game ahead of the Bills with last week's result. So that's going to be a great game. Plus, I think Drake May against Lamar Jackson is like
the Ravens
really fun quarterback matchup because they have such like interesting styles that clash with one another.
Yeah, the Ravens are a really interesting case right now, I would say. Because what's going on with the Ravens is their schedule to end the year is tough. Because they have to play it's a must-win against the Pats and the Packers. Must-win games for them, even though I hope the Packers...
they might all be must. I mean, the game against the Steelers is probably the game for the division if everything...
It depends. Well, yeah, no, but there was a chance where Baltimore loses this next 2. And the Steelers have the division locked up by already. And they won't need to.
Yeah. I mean, if both teams like win out, that's gonna be a big game.
I want to talk about the AFC North. What's going on with that? Let's talk about the AFC North because I don't think I've ever seen a division in football where every single head coach is on the hot seat right now. Every coach in the AFC North.
Harbaugh's on the hot seat. You really think so? Come on.
Yeah.
There's no way they're getting rid of Harbaugh.
It's time. It's time to get rid of Harbaugh.
I don't know. How can you blame who's Zach Taylor's a Bengals coach, right?
Yes.
How can you blame him for what's happened there? He's just
Zach
been
Taylor?
yeah, they're just decimated by injuries.
Zach Taylor has been is the most overrated coach in all of football. Zach Taylor Zach Taylor was a fraud when he got hired, got carried by Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase to a Super Bowl, and has been one of the reasons why he has been left out of the playoffs. They have been left out of the playoffs for the last 3 years at this point now. He is not a coach that is elevating the Bengals. He is a coach that is hindering the Bengals. John Harbaugh has reached his expiration date in Baltimore at this point. He has lost the players. It's this, and same with Mike Tomlin. It's the consistency. Mike Tomlin granted he's never had a losing season. Mike Tomlin, yes. I think him and the Steelers need to break apart for now. For now, I think it's time to be like, we are not going anywhere. The Steelers,
I think Mike Tomlin is one of the best coaches in football. The Steelers would be idiotic to let him go.
I don't think listen what I'm saying right
Mike
here.
Tomlin could have me as a quarterback and he'd still lead the team to a 7-10 record because he's just that type of coach.
Let me tell you something though. At some point when it's 9-8, 9-8, 9-8 every year. I don't think they should fire him. I think they should mutually part ways. He is losing the locker room. The Steelers defense
that's the same thing.
Is not. I think
it is. They fire him, but they say we're gonna mutually part ways.
I'm telling you right. Or you trade Mike. You trade Mike. You could trade for coaches. By the way,
that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. By the way, I know it's true, but it's so ridiculous that you could trade for coaches.
It happened with Sean Payton.
I know, but it's ridiculous that you should be able to do that.
John Gruden's trade story is the most amazing. John Gruden to the Bucs is my favorite coaching trade story ever.
Yeah.
John Gruden gets traded to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2002. The Raiders were like, because they were like, wow, they're really giving up a lot for John Gruden. Okay, we'll do that. And then the Raiders hired their offensive coordinator. Like they just promoted the offensive coordinator who had no plans to stick around with the Raiders whatsoever after that year. And the Raiders and the Bucs end up meeting in the Super Bowl. And John Gruden, they're going over film, and John Gruden goes, they haven't changed my calls since I've left. And he realizes it on the film. He's like, everything's the same from when I left. And he coaches a masterclass in that Super Bowl because he knew everything.
Yeah, that story never should have happened because you should never be allowed to trade coaches in the NFL.
Why?
There's a reason why no other sports you can trade coaches.
I feel like if a team wants to give up a first-round draft pick for a coach, let it happen. The Broncos did it with Sean Payton, and look at them right now.
The coaching and trading for coaches and trading for players is so much different.
In the NFL, a coach is very valuable. If you were able to trade for an elite coach, I would trade for an elite coach in a heartbeat.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that what should convince a coach to switch organizations.
Well. Also, you don't think the coach has a say in it? Also, it was Sean Payton. Sean Payton retired. Sean Payton retired as a New Orleans Saint. He was retired from the Saints. He felt like he wanted to come back to coaching. He wanted to go to the Broncos. The Saints still had the coaching rights to him. They wouldn't fire him because they would have had to buy out his contract. So they just traded a first-round pick.
Yeah, but of course the coach has a say in it and where they end up. But I don't think that you should be able to trade coaches from a place to another because then, it just sort of creates this.
It doesn't happen often though. That's the thing. It happens like once in a decade.
When was the last time a coach was traded?
Sean Payton. Okay. And Sean Payton was retired for 2 years at that point.
I don't know. I don't think. Yeah, 20. Okay, 2 years. Yeah, less frequently in it. Can you actually trade coaches? This is AI overview on Google, so I don't think it's accurate. But can you even trade coaches in other sports? Probably not.
It's happened 3 times this century, and one of them was because the coach resigned for the New York Jets. The New York Jets coach resigned on a napkin. He did his introductory press conference, resigned on a napkin, and they traded him. He was like, "What team do you want to go to? I'm going to your crosstown rival, to your biggest rival, and I'm going to go win 6 Super Bowls with them."
I don't know. It's not for me. I'll just say that the business of trading coaches.
But I feel like going back to the Mike Tomlin point, and it's not that he's at this point. It's okay. Mike Tomlin is supposed to be this defensive wizard, and he has the highest paid defense in the league. And they've just gone down the toilet this year. He has been preaching the same thing for a straight decade at this point. It's been, at some point, a consistent 9-8, 9-8, 9-8, 9-8, and it's been 10 years since. It's about to be 10 years since he's last won a playoff game.
winning playoff games in the NFL is hard, and consistently, Mike Tomlin does not have a great roster. He has a roster made up of mixed parts, players.
And why is that? Who has roster? He has roster construction control. And why is that? Because he's 9-8 every year, and he's finishing with a 20-something draft pick. At this point, it's time for the Steelers to just be like, this era is over. It's overstaying its welcome. It's not. You know what I'm going to compare it to?
Okay.
Andy Reid and Philly. It worked out great for both of those organizations after. Andy Reid rebuilt the Chiefs into a dynasty, and Philly even won 2 Super Bowls in the meantime. It's not because the coach is bad, and it's not because the organization is that mad, but it's at a point where you need a fresh. Mike Tomlin needs a fresh start, and the Steelers need a fresh start.
Who are you going to replace Mike Tomlin with? If you want to get rid of him, you got to get a guy that you're going to bring in.
You got to bring in. Granted, this might not be the year to do it because again, when I'm saying this, the entire AFC North and North's coaches are about to get fired. Stefanski is gone. Zach Taylor is gone.
Right.
John Harbaugh should be gone. At that point, you're going to want to keep Mike Tomlin until you can find that next coach because those three are going to be. John Harbaugh's expiration date is also up. Too many big time playoff failures in recent. Like again, you're the 2023 Ravens, one of the greatest rushing teams of all time, and in the AFC Championship game against the Kansas City Chiefs in a game to go to the Super Bowl, you called 6 rushing plays. 6. You ran the ball 6 times.
Yeah, I don't know.
In a game that was easily winnable against the Kansas City Chiefs, they ran the ball 6 times.
Well, the Chiefs have devil magic. So
John Harbaugh, it's his time to leave. Mike Tomlin might save himself a season because the entire staff is going to get fired. Kevin Stefanski is straight up right now sabotaging Shedeur Sanders. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't even watch the Browns because I just don't really feel like there's storylines.
No, I've been watching the Browns because of Shedeur Sanders. And it's the Tennessee Titans game was awesome. And then Kevin Stefanski, Shedeur has 360, 3 touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown. And Kevin Stefanski decides, oh, the game is on the line. I'm going to take Shedeur out of the game. Oh, let's do this jet sweep. Let's do this like end around pass, big play with Quinshon Judkins. That doesn't work and looks ridiculous, and it ends up costing you a game against the worst team in the league in Tennessee Titans.
Well, I'll tell you why that happened. That happened because the Browns organization before the game went to Kevin Stefanski and said, we need to lose this game. We need to find a way to lose this game so we can improve our draft odds.
And Kevin Stefanski needs to lose his job. And then why does Shedeur Sanders not have the right wristband going into a game against the Chicago Bears until the second quarter? Why does your starting quarterback... Why are all these issues coming out now about Shedeur? I really feel like Kevin Stefanski has it in for this guy, and Shedeur has been working with an upward battle since he's got into the NFL.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
Kevin Stefanski has not been helping at all this season. It's time for him to see the door. He got rid of Baker Mayfield saying he wanted an adult in the locker room, and they ended up getting Deshaun Watson. It's been ridiculous. 2-time coach of the year. I don't care. Get out of Cleveland. Zach Taylor, you are terrible at your job. You've been terrible at your job. You should have never been hired in the first place. You lucked into Joe Burrow. You lucked into Jamar Chase. You got to keep your job off of that. The Bengals were a halfway decent franchise. You come in, they're 2-14.
Zach Taylor's literally led the Bengals to, is it 2 or 3 AFC Championship games?
He's okay. You want to hear something?
Sure.
He led them to 2 straight AFC Championship games. Good job, buddy. You've missed the playoffs the last 3 years.
And I'm telling you that hasn't been his fault because they've dealt with
has terrible clock
Jamar Chase,
management.
they've dealt with injuries to...
Last year, no excuses. You're running one of the, like, granted, I know you're the offensive coordinator. You're not running this offense well. Anybody with a brain can run this offense. What he has done has been nothing special. He has been terrible at clock management. He has been responsible for the majority of Bengals losses in the past couple of years. He is a hindrance. He's always been a hindrance on the team. He's had his job for way too long. He should have lost his job at the year he got the job, honestly. I know we're not big on one and done jobs, but that 2-14 year, he should have lost his job immediately.
But you still want to fire Aaron Glenn after 1 year?
I don't want to. Honestly, I would like to see Aaron Glenn get another year.
You just said you wanted to fire Aaron Glenn and have him go back to Detroit like 10 minutes ago.
I said I wanted to fire Aaron Glenn, but the only reason why I said I wanted to fire Aaron Glenn is because if you're going all in on Fernando Mendoza, I feel like you just want an offensive mastermind in there with him.
So get a great offensive coordinator and have him have head coach duties.
I feel like the Jets and Aaron Glenn are on like a parting ways type of thing now, where everything just went wrong this season. And again, because the thing is, if you get an offensive mastermind in there with Mendoza, right? You get an offensive. That's the issue with having this, by the way. You get your offensive coordinator in there with Mendoza, and let's say you have a wizard offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
And let's say he starts to go, like him and Mendoza get this really good thing going and everything, yada, yada, yada.
There's not going to be any drama between the head coach or anything, if that's what you're going to say.
No, it's not any drama between the head coach. It's that offensive coordinator, if the Jets quarterback does that and it's the offensive coordinator, he's getting a head coaching job somewhere else that next year.
Yeah, then Mendoza's gained a year under his development, and he knows how to sort of navigate the league for himself.
And then he has to go. No, but then he has to go into an entirely new, different offensive coordinating system, new offensive system. Josh Allen had
not necessarily just promote one of the guys under him and have a similar system.
Sometimes that's not how it works. Like they try that sometimes, and then it doesn't work out.
Well, sometimes it works though, and this time it won't even work because there's no way Aaron Glenn is getting fired.
I want to say no way on that one.
There's no way they're getting rid of Aaron Glenn.
They might not. They might not.
I would never get rid of Aaron Glenn. I think he's a great coach.
They might not. Again, you're a defensive-minded head coach, and your defense is about to have the worst. About to have 2 turnovers on the entire year.
Well,
that's something. Granted, Steve Wilkes has been fired, but that is something to think about as well.
As Angels manager Ron Washington said, "You can't make chicken soup out of chicken." 4-letter word. So. I can't blame Aaron Glenn for what's gone on.
Well, what happened when he had Quinnen Williams and when he had Sauce?
That's 2 players. 2 players don't make up a defense. You need a well-rounded defense.
2 all-pros. That's an all-pro corner and an all-pro D tackle.
But it doesn't matter. Let's say you have
okay, but then
if you have 2 all-pro offensive linemen and you have three guys who are 5'8" and weigh 190 pounds, you're gonna get destroyed. It doesn't matter.
That would never happen.
I'm just saying. Football is not a sport like basketball where you can have 2 good players and 3 below average players and they can still win you 50 games. Sauce is definitely one of those
people that is not that may or may not make up for it. Well, Quinnen Williams is one of those guys that definitely can make up. Quinnen Williams is a game changer, and I think Dallas. Granted, Dallas' secondary has still been awful, but look at Quinnen Williams. Look at how Dallas' defense improved as soon as Quinnen Williams got there.
Yeah, because Dallas has other pieces in their quarterbacks and their safeties that can support Quinnen Williams and give him the power.
No, they don't. They have the worst. They have the worst secondary in the league. They have a worse secondary than the Jets. Their secondary is awful. It is toast.
Okay, but I don't know, but they have a great defensive line, right?
The Cowboys?
Yeah,
they have a decent defense. They have Kenny Clark. They do have a good defensive line now.
Okay, but did the Jets have a good defensive line with Quinnen Williams? Or no?
The Jets have always had a decent defensive. Granted, they've lost some pieces over the last. The Jets have lost some pieces over the last couple of years. It's one of those things where it's just like at this point, I'm just saying with Aaron Glenn, it's less on his performance as a coach and more of if you have a quarterback coming in, and if you want to get a quarterback to come in, like a rookie quarterback to come in, you might as well pair him with a rookie head coach. You might as well pair him with an offensive-minded rookie head coach. Here. This is my big example of this. Look at Brian Callahan this year in Tennessee. Brian, even though he had the worst record in the league last year, and they said, okay, Brian, we're gonna keep even though he did an awful job. People said the same thing, pieces around him, and he said, okay, we're gonna keep you around just another year. And they fire him 5 games into a year, ruin Cam Ward's development. What if that happens with Mendoza? I'm telling you right now. Please get an offensive and it just only because the defense isn't good. Please get an offensive-minded head coach in there with Fernando Mendoza if the Jets eventually get him. Just to
It would be pretty funny to see Aaron Glenn go back to the Lions.
And Aaron Glenn. Here's the thing: Aaron Glenn could go back to the Lions, and everybody gets healthy on the Lions, and they start to go off again, and Aaron Glenn could get another head coaching job in a better scenario in a couple of years. I just want to see the Jets with an offensive-minded head coach. And that's just from what they've gone defense on Saleh. Look at Robert Saleh. Yeah. Look at Robert Saleh by example. This is the great example of it. Jets head coach, not a very good job. He was the Niners defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
He was the Niners defensive coordinator. He goes to the New York Jets. He does a great job. He does an amazing job with that defense. for New York, by the way.
Okay.
Offense wasn't there. He wasn't. Rodgers got him fired. We all know that story. And so Robert Saleh got fired. Where's Robert Saleh right now?
He's back in San Francisco.
He's back in San Francisco as the Niners defensive coordinator. Everybody and their mother has gone down with injury in the San Francisco defense, and they are still a force to be reckoned with. And
but that's Kyle Shanahan, though. That's
Kyle Shanahan's the offensive guru.
Yeah,
Robert Saleh is that is not Kyle Shanahan. That is all Robert Saleh's defense.
But
that
the
has
Kyle Shanahan tree of guys that he's produced are the ones who are leading the backbone of all three phases of the game.
So what I'm saying for Aaron Glenn is, though, go back under Dan Campbell. Go back because Ben Johnson's doing a great job right now. Go back under Dan Campbell.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's the worst idea. I'm just saying I don't see it happening.
Go learn a little more, and I'm telling you right now, I don't think he survives his job after this. We actually do have to go to break right now, and when we come back, we will be talking about the Knicks and Nets, the New York's other favorite sports teams. We got the NBA Cup to talk about. I'm Travis Hayden with Max Langer. Bobby Chaffardini is our sports director. Kurt Sipple is our radio producer, and Grace McCarron is our video producer. One-on-One, New York's longest-running sports call-in talk show. We'll be back soon.
Hi everyone, I'm Grace McCarron, and I'm one of your 2025-26 New York Islanders beat reporters for WFUV Sports. Follow me on X at @GraceMcCarron_ for live game updates, features, and other inside content from the island all season long. From the development of first overall pick Matthew Schaefer to incredible saves by Ilya Sorokin, WFUV Sports has you covered every step of the way as the Isles look towards the postseason. WFUV is your home for New York sports.
The Brooklyn Nets join you in supporting WFUV. The NBA season continues in 2026 with the Brooklyn Nets playing at Barclays Center. Tickets for all home games for the Nets at Barclays are available at Ticketmaster and BrooklynNets.com.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Max, even though we are talking about NBA right now, Miami and Texas A&M has kicked off. There's 9:07 left in the first quarter. It is a 0-0 game right now. The Aggie in me is very anxious and worried, but we'll see what happens. But right now, we have to talk about the Knicks and the Knicks and the Nets. The Knicks had a big win this week in the NBA Cup. After 50 years, the Knicks have finally won something.
Yeah, and they're also going to raise a banner. Oh, no, they're not going to raise a banner for it.
Hey, I like that. I like that mentality. It means the job is not finished.
The McDonald's Open Championship they had in Spain in the early 1990s.
The McDonald's Open Championship in the early 1990s.
Yeah, that's even more important than the NBA Cup.
Kurt
I think.
Sipple with an amazing poll, by the way. That does sound more important than the NBA Cup. But the Knicks have finally won something. Oh my God! It is a celebration over here in New York. Street lamps are falling.
First New York professional sports championship in over 5,000 days, and it's the NBA Cup.
Who was the last New York? Was it the Giants?
Giants in 2012. Yeah.
Wow.
I haven't won since.
But again, as we all know,
guys, the New York Liberty won not so long ago.
New York Liberty.
Oh, New York
That
Liberty.
is right.
Okay.
That is right.
First NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL.
Well, the WNBA has been on a hot streak.
It has been.
I've been in the last couple years. I've been really enjoying all the everything with that league. We're always talking about what was it? It's always like I feel like the time is really coming for the WNBA soon. The last couple of years they've been in really the right direction. I'm gonna say, to grow their league, especially like the storylines. To grow to grow a sports league, you need storylines.
The Angel Reese,
Caitlin Clark is the storyline that
go.
is going to grow your league, and it's just going to expand over years and years and years. I'm very excited to see how that plays out. Thank you, Kurt, for reminding us about the WNBA, because we got to give a shout out there. And we're going to move on, but we have to move on to the New York Knicks' big win over my San Antonio Spurs in the NBA Cup. It was looking like the Spurs, like by the third quarter, I don't know what was in the water in Las Vegas, but Jordan Clarkson and OG Anunoby decided to turn into gods.
Yeah, it was a great game. We actually have a guest coming on in about 10 minutes to talk to us about the New York Knicks. He is a writer for Sports Illustrated, so definitely stay tuned to that.
Steven Samirny is coming on.
Yeah, and I think, my thoughts on the Cup before we have our, expert guest to tell us, extra all about it, was that it was a really impressive win by the Knicks. I thought what Mike Brown said post-game about sort of building a foundation is true. I think the Knicks, and you saw, like, even the back-to-back they played, I guess it would have been, yesterday and the day before or whatever, against Philadelphia, even though they lost that game, I thought, they played hard. And I think a lot of the places are really falling into place right now for the Knicks. This is sort of the time of the year when you want to have your rotations down. You want to have who's in what spot clicking. You want to have all your guys, healthy. And I think, obviously the Knicks just got, their wing and Anunoby back, and now I think they're one of the best teams in the East, and I actually think they're one of the only teams in the NBA that could match up with Oklahoma City or a Denver if it came to that in a 7-game series.
Yeah, it is one of those. The Knicks are really interesting right now. We now need to see how the remainder of the season plays out for them, because we have our call in a minute, and we're going to be talking about the Knicks a lot there. Let's get it out of the way, and we can start talking about the Nets a little bit too. Brooklyn Nets, sponsor of today's show.
That's right.
Yeah. And honestly, before we do, if we're going to be talking about the Nets, should we do our trivia question right now?
Let's do the trivia question.
Let's do our trivia question right now. So,
all right.
If you guys want to, Max will be reading the trivia question. It is for 2 free tickets.
It is for 2 free tickets.
2 free tickets.
We're going to give them away today, and they will be for the game on January 7th at the Barclays Center against the Orlando Magic. Pretty good team.
So if you want free tickets to the game, call in 718-817-2750 and answer our trivia question.
Yep, call in right now. Game's at 7:30, and it is Noche's Latina Night. Sounds fun.
Really?
Yeah, very fun.
That's going to be interesting.
Very interesting. So we will call in anytime, yeah.
Call in anytime. You want to read the question out loud?
I'll read the question.
Read the question, and if we get a caller, we'll
get. Or do we read the question, or do we get the caller first and then read the question? Let's see.
Read the question.
All right, let's read the question. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, and everybody else watching, here's the question. The Brooklyn Nets have an NBA record 5 first-round picks this season, including their first top 10 pick since 2010 in Igor Demin. Today's question is, who was the player that the Nets took with their last top 10 lottery pick?
All right. Let's see if we got any call-ins right here. Call in to win 2 free Nets tickets.
And please don't use Google, guys. Our show thrives on the integrity of our listeners' knowledge.
I don't know about that, but let's talk about, while we wait for that, let's talk about the Brooklyn Nets here real quick.
Yeah.
7-19, but again, a record 5 first-round draft picks next year. Cam Thomas and Michael Porter Jr. are a 2-man show in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
They had a big win. That win against the Bucks the other day was crazy. The Bucks didn't score a point for, I think, like the last 8 minutes of a game. The last 8 minutes of the game. That was one of the most crazy, impressive things I've ever seen. And Kurt's gonna cop in here and talk about this for a second.
Yes. He is a reporter for the Nets, so
he's one of our Nets beat reporters. Yes, but the Nets statement win was probably against the Bucks that day. Actually, I think I'm talking into the wrong microphone. I am. Sorry, guys, I'm washed. The Nets statement win was against that Bucks that day. They blew out the Bucks. Yes, it was the Giannis-less Bucks. That's hard to say. Say that 10 times fast. Giannis-less Bucks. But at the end of the day,
well, that might be permanent. So Yeah.
Well, we don't know if it's going to be permanent yet. If he's going to go anywhere, he will be a Brooklyn Net. That's a different story.
Laker.
He's not going to be a Laker.
Spurs, guys. Spurs, come on.
No, he can. The Nets have the feasible options to trade for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Is the thing. That's what the thing is. Like, people might not realize it. They have the players and they have the picks. They have a lot of picks to give up for Giannis. Valuable picks to give up for Giannis as well. They have a bunch of first rounders that they can give up. The Knicks have, I think, 1 or 2 first rounders and then like 6 second rounders to give up if that was the case. So the Nets have a lot of picks that they can give up, as well as, I mean, Michael Porter Jr. is balling out. He might be an all-star this year, MPJ. MPJ might play himself into the all-star game. Cam Thomas has been injured, but even more guys, like, you currently have guys like Danny Wolf, who's been very good for them recently. He's had some rookie games, but other games he's scoring 17, 22. I mean, Yegor Dioman, he's been not bad. I mean, as a rookie, he's doing what you kind of expect a rookie that's getting a lot of minutes to do. He's not playing as well as some might think that he was expected. But again, he's a point guard in college. He passes the ball a lot. We'll see how it goes. I mean, I think the best pick right now that they've made is probably Danny Wolf. But the Nets right now, yes, it's going to take a lot of rebuilding. Don't get me wrong. That's kind of what we're at right now. You know what I mean? Like, we're at the stage where it's a rebuild. No one's really expecting them to be, like, so incredible. You know what I mean? But, I mean, they won, I think it was 4 of their last 6 the last time. They were on a streak for a while. They lost their last game against the Heat, but those were close games, too.
But for a team like the Nets, like, that is not supposed to be in this position, they're a young team. They have two big ball dominant players, but that's about it. And, like, granted, you're talking about the youth on the team as well. Like, you're talking about the youth, like the rookies, like Wolf, that are coming in and making an impact. Kurt, talk to me a little bit about, like, what you think the future of the Nets is going to be.
The future's a youth movement for the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, that's just key right now.
How many years do you think it'll
2
be?
or 3. I think they can get back into the playoffs probably in 2 years.
Yeah, but how does trading a bunch of players and picks for Giannis help that youth movement?
You don't trade the youth. You trade probably like Michael Porter Jr., some picks, and probably like you could trade like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of salary matching and stuff. That'd be tough. Like, you can trade, like, no one really, like, Cam Thomas would be kind of a tough deal to go through.
Yeah.
But you can trade guys like that. Like, you're going to get scoring off of them. Like, I don't want them to trade Nick Claxton, but, like, Nick Claxton could be a move that might be a way to get Giannis at a point. It really depends on how you would go get them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It really depends.
Yeah, but what I would say for that, too, is does Giannis fit the Nets timeline?
Yes.
He's
a superstar. I mean, Giannis can train, pretty much help a lot of the youth get better.
Not only that, he puts you in instant playoff contention.
He puts you in even if this year they get him, like when they traded for Kevin Durant, he was injured for a year, and Kyrie helped them get in the playoffs. The Nets were in the playoffs in those years, but they weren't good enough yet to get to a better position. Once Kevin Durant got healthy, they were championship contenders. So you kind of look at it like, okay, Giannis is here now. Now we can have our youth around him that is very good. We have 2 centers that are, if Nick Claxton or Day'Ron Sharpe both stay. Day'Ron Sharpe has been awesome. You can have Day'Ron Sharpe or Nick Claxton. We have 2 centers that are good enough that can probably start in playoff games.
I love Nick Claxton, by the way.
Nick Claxton's awesome.
Yeah, that guy, back in 2K, that was my guy. I used to just pass him the rock all the time.
Nick Claxton's awesome. He's awesome. And those guys are kind of becoming the dudes that you'll see as they know what it means to be a Brooklyn Net. Nick Claxton's been a Net his whole career. He re-signed with the Nets. He was drafted in 2018 with them.
Do you think so? He's not a potential give up in the package for Giannis?
I don't think he's potential give up. I feel like you have to keep
left
him.
after you acquire Giannis. But here's what I'll say is that Giannis and the Bucks do not have an untenable relationship. It's not like Chris Paul and the Clippers where the ownership of the player's stash. The Bucks are going to work with Giannis, I think, to find a trade destination he wants to go.
All right. So we're going to – oh, okay. Never mind. Yeah. What were you saying again?
They want to work with Giannis to find a trade destination he wants to go to. And why would he want to go to the Nets?
He bought a house in Brooklyn that's not so far away from the training facility. 10 minutes away from the training facility.
But
10
you know what?
minutes
It's
away
also
from
not
Barclays
far
Center.
from Madison Square Garden.
It's actually a lot farther away from Madison Square
he
Garden.
can take a cab.
It's 10 minutes. It's 10 minutes away from the training center and 10 minutes away from Barclays
You
Center.
can take
you
a
can't really
private
beat
jet
that.
and land on the top of
Can't really beat
Madison
that.
Square Garden.
I'm gonna say this. Yeah, no, I agree. The Barclays Center and Madison Square Garden not relatively that close to it, even though it is like. Still,
Giannis has the means of transportation to get there, though.
Yeah, no, it is one of those things. We do have the is our call in here, however? Oh, sorry. So today, we are actually going to be joining for our Knicks segment. We are going to be joined by Steven Seminary. He is a freelance writer and radio reporter with Metro News Networks and the Associated Press and CBS Radio, based in New York. He reports on all the New York sports teams: New York Knicks, Brooklyn Nets, Yankees, Mets, Rangers, and Devils, and the U.S. Open tournaments. He is also an alumni of Fordham University and WFUV Sports, just like we are. Or we are not alumni yet, but we
We'll
are
be
currently.
soon.
We'll be soon.
Well, you'll be sooner than me. but-
Eventually, well, yeah, we'll see. I'm not thinking about that right now. I'm a transfer student. I had some weird things.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right. So and Steven is with Steven Semerny is now with us. Is that true? Steven, can you hear us?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, how's it going today?
All right. Nice little Saturday. Off a Nick loss, but kind of a scheduling loss, so kind of expected.
Yeah, it's been a big week for the Knicks, honestly. So I wanted to ask you a question. And I saw you had the article about the NBA Cup, with the Knicks winning the NBA Cup, and how it might not be what everybody thinks it is, like this whole big thing. So do you think a victory in the NBA Cup for the Knicks is going to get them complacent as the season goes on?
No, I don't think so at all. This team's never complacent. I think the most endearing quality about the Knicks over the last couple of years is that they never take any games off. And that's rare for any team in any sport. And the NBA Cup, you could say it's meaningless. You could say it has meaning. But either way, those games are on the schedule. Well, they sort of weren't, obviously. The NBA Cup final didn't even count towards the actual statistics. But this team never takes a game off, and that's a very endearing quality of them. I think it's a stepping stone. I think it's good for them to get a little taste of it. And this team, they've been together now for a little while, most of this group, and I think it's a good how should I phrase it? You beat the Spurs, you take that in stride.
Yeah, my Spurs are catching strays today. I knew it was coming.
Definitely. Hey, Steven, this is Max here. I read your article for Sports Illustrated on Tyler Kolek this morning and his emergence into the Knicks rotation and how he's developed a lot from Summer League and how maybe the Knicks shouldn't trade him because he fills that backup point guard. And so I sort of wanted to ask you, if you're not trading Kolek, what trade chips do you have to improve this team come February, and what do you sort of envision the Knicks doing at the deadline?
Well, that's interesting because the Knicks trade deadline is kind of limited in terms of what they can do because if you're not trading Mitchell Robinson, which I agree at this point, I would hold on to him. He's such an X factor. You've seen last night what he could do, how he could change a game. And at that point, if you're not trading Mitchell Robinson, your only trade chip really is trying to move Yabusele's contract, attaching a draft pick to him to move him. You maybe could throw in Pacom Dadier into that trade, and you could maybe get a guy like Sadiq Bey or a backup big man like Kevon Looney. And I think at this point, that's where the Knicks should really focus on. At that point, too, if you do make a trade like that 2-for-1, you would save some money, open up a roster spot or two. They do have an open roster spot at the moment, but they don't have the financial capability to add anybody to later in the season. So you could, at that point, have two spots to target a couple of buyout candidates come February. There's talks yesterday about Chris Middleton possibly being bought out down the line. Who knows who at that point does shake loose in the buyout market. So I do think, last week, Ian Begley of SNY reported that Jose Alvarado, a New York native on the Pelicans, the point guard, is an interesting trade target. But if you have Tyler Kolek in-house to go get a guy like that, it might not make sense. And I think the biggest need is really on the wing. It is, right now, Landry Shamet's hurt, Deuce McBride's out, and you've seen Kolek get some minutes. You've seen rookie Mohamed Diawara get some minutes. These guys are young. They're raw. Kolek obviously is further along the line than these other young guys like Dadier and Diawara. And I think, realistically, trade deadlines, if there's no big Giannis move, which I'm not in agreement of at the moment, unfortunately, I think you kind of stand pat for the most part. You try to move Yabusele's contract, who's been a big disappointment. You got to probably tie a draft pick to him. And with his money and Dadier's money, you get a $7 to $8 million player. And you try to get a wing or a backup big and kind of keep this team mostly intact.
So do you think? So you think Giannis? The Knicks are definitely out of the Giannis sweepstakes.
I would not say definitely. No, not at all. It does seem like for sure that Giannis is his first one as being a Knick compared to being, a Miami Heat, an Atlanta Hawk, whatever it might be. But I do think this team right now, to break it up for Giannis, you would have to trade, 2 or 3 pieces, kind of, cut into the roster quite a bit. This team, listen, Giannis is fantastic. He's better than OG Anunoby, Karl Towns, of course. But this team, the starting five, Jalen, Josh Hart, best buddies, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, kind of very low-key, low-maintenance guys. Karl Towns loves being a Knick. They got some good chemistry over the last couple of years together for the most part, this group. To really kind of make a big trade like that in season would be tricky, first of all, with the assets that we have at the moment. In a perfect world, Giannis kind of stays put for the rest of the year. And come summertime, you could revisit those talks. Obviously, in a perfect world also, the Knicks is coming off a championship, which, the city would be burned down. So who knows what would happen at that point. But in a perfect world, Giannis trade talks get tabbed till the offseason. He stays put. And this team could have a crack at it, and I do think that this group deserves a crack at it.
Yeah, no, 100% for sure. Every team's gonna want to get into the Giannis sweepstakes. That's just how it is. But Steven, as a longtime Knicks fan, how has it been seeing the evolution of this team evolve over the last decade from like the dark triangle days of Phil Jackson and Kristaps Porzingis and old Carmelo Anthony, D Rose, Joakim Noah, and everything that seems to be failing, to the point where the Knicks are at now? As your perspective as a fan and as a writer, how has that been for you?
The Knicks were basically the Jets for the longest time. They were irrelevant for about 15 years. Other than that one 2012-2013 season, which I had the pleasure of covering for WFUV. Other than that year, it's been a lot of darkness, a lot of empty seasons, a lot of seasons that were over by Christmas. So, right now to win an NBA Cup, I know people want to, poo-poo it, but you take it. And this group over the last couple of years, this is easily the best era of Knicks basketball since the Patrick Ewing, Charles Oakley, Anthony Mason kind of 90s Knicks grinded out, John Starks teams. And it's been a pleasure to watch these guys every night. Like I said, their most endearing quality is they never take a night off. And last year, 51 wins. The year before that, 50 wins. The year before that, 47 wins. Playoff wins in between conference finals last season. To see this team consistently, night in, night out, be must-watch TV. Obviously, you want to win a championship, but it does say something when you can watch your team every night and have a chance to win every single night.
Yeah, we're talking to Steven Seminary here on One. Steven, I want to shift gears here a little bit more towards the overall landscape of the NBA in totality. I think we pretty much all agree that Oklahoma City's in a tier of their own. Maybe Denver's kind of close, but I honestly think the Knicks are one of the few teams that can match up with either of those teams if they saw each other in a 7-game series. My question is, where do you sort of see the Knicks as far as where they rank upon the NBA in terms of the better teams, and what do they need to do in order to, get to that level where you'd feel like they've got a good chance against, an Oklahoma City or a Denver, if it got to that?
Well, besides the Knicks coming out of the East, which right now they should be the betting favorites despite the Pistons being 21-6 and top of the conference, OKC's in a league of their own, obviously, it seems like. And I will say that as unbeatable as they look, they are 25-3 now. Things happen come May and June. Guys get hurt. Guys tweak an ankle. So never say, they're going to get run out of the gym by any means. The Knicks played OKC, a year ago, and they played a really damn good first half, 3 quarters actually. And they'll compete if they get to that point. But right now, I think the focus is just getting out of the Eastern Conference. Like I said, they are the betting favorites, but it's no cakewalk. The Celtics might get Jason Tatum back for the last 25 games. The Sixers are emerging as an interesting team. The Pistons, obviously, like I said, are there. The Magic are going to be in the mix, and they played the Knicks. They've played the Knicks 4 times, all really hard-fought games. The Knicks lost 2 of them. The Miami Heat, who the Knicks play on Sunday, another interesting team with Eric Spoelstra always in the equation. The Cavaliers, could they get healthy and rebound? So I think the focus right now is getting out of the East. We'll talk about the West hopefully come June. So right now, the Eastern Conference landscape, as people say, the East is kind of the weaker conference, which of course it is. Besides the Knicks, the favorites to win it all obviously come out of the West. I'm sure OKC, Denver, the Spurs are 3 of the top, and the Rockets obviously are 3 of the better teams in the league, 4 of the better teams, and among the betting favorites to win it all. But right now, you got to focus on getting out of the Eastern Conference, and I think it's going to be an arms race come the trade deadline among these teams. I could see the Pistons calling the Nets, maybe trying to get Michael Porter Jr. I could see the Cavaliers maybe calling the Bucks and saying, you know what, we'll pony up Evan Mobley for Giannis. So I think the East, as of now, it looks the way it does, but I think things could change quite a bit in how these teams look come February.
Yeah, no, it's honestly interesting to see because I always believe that basketball really starts right after the All-Star break. Like obviously you play the games right now, but then like you already know who's going to be good, you already know who's going to be the contenders, and it starts to get weeded. It's especially weeded out by then, and then right into April you have the full on the playoffs. And there's been so much hype going in for the Knicks these last couple of years. Last year making it to the Eastern Conference Finals, just falling short, and then they ended up firing Coach Tom Thibodeau. How do you feel about how Mike Brown is taking over that job and the new culture with the Knicks, and how it compares to Thibodeau, and whether you like it more or if you don't?
I love Tom Thibodeau, but I was of the proponent most of last year saying I think the Knicks to take that next step have to fire him. I do think he has a lot of Mike Tomlin in him, where he's a great regular season coach, a great program builder. Obviously, where he took the Knicks is very much appreciated by the fan base, and it should be. But Mike Brown is such an affable guy, such an open-minded guy. You see him talking to the young guys. The other night against Indiana, he called a timeout, took Ariel Hukporti out of the game, and you saw him talking to him on the sideline for a minute or two and put him right back into the game. He lets his assistant coaches kind of run the show here and there, call plays. You see the way he'll throw in Mohamed Diawara. He's given Tyler Kolek a chance that he did not see with Tom Thibodeau. For example, in the Vegas Cup game, he put Kolek in the game late in the fourth quarter. He ran Kolek alongside Jalen Brunson. Those are a couple of things that Tom Thibodeau would not have done.
Well, Tom Thibodeau likes to keep his starters in way too long most of the times, and he doesn't like to see the reserves come in. So getting fresh faces in there is definitely going to help.
Like people could argue the bench is much better than last season, which sort of it is, but sort of it's not, because realistically at this moment, Yabusele's been a total zero. And Jordan Clarkson, other than the Vegas game, has been mostly, bad. And obviously last year, Precious Achiuwa was hurt for the first couple of weeks. Campaign had a good first half, Campaign, and it kind of went under the radar in terms of how much he did help the team off the bench. Playoff, he won them a big game against the Pistons in round one. But I think the bench play has been more so because of how Mike Brown is using the players he has right now that were here last year. Deuce McBride's had a bit much bigger role. Tyler Kolek's had a much bigger role. You've seen Hukporti have a couple of big games off the bench. So I think Mike Brown, like I said, I think his open-mindedness, his willing to tweak, his willingness to play different lineups is not only important now, but it will be important come later in the season.
Yeah, we are joined by Steven Seminary from Sports Illustrated on New York's longest-running sports call-in show, One-on-One. And, Steven, I want to ask you, what's your opinion on the Knicks not deciding to hang a banner for the NBA Cup? Because, the Lakers in 23 did it, and the Bucks did it last year. Do you think this matters at all? Because it's been a long time since the Knicks have raised a banner at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, it's funny. I think the first and foremost reason why they did not is because James Dolan just hates Adam Silver. I think the banner raising could have been there. I mean, we have Harry Styles banners, you have Fish banners at the Garden, so I don't see why it couldn't be hung up there. The Lakers have 17 championships, and they have an NBA Cup banner up there. It's just a piece of cloth. I think it's worth putting a banner up there, as if, we've seen Milwaukee do it, we've seen the Lakers do it. Both of those teams have championship history, especially the Lakers, obviously. But I think that was, kind of a James Dolan, Adam Silver thing. So kind of funny how I think it became more of a talking point because they did not raise the banner. Either way, it was a lose-lose situation. You raise the banner, you're going to get clowned. You don't raise the banner, you're going to have people saying, why didn't you raise the banner?
Right.
I have no problem with it that they didn't, but, they didn't celebrate the Cup win with bottles of champagne and, like they won, the Super Bowl. So the guys, took it in stride. They got back to Indiana on Thursday. They won that game 114-113 shorthanded. And that was a type of victory that this team, a championship team, kind of digs deep and they win. But no banner. Like I said, I think not putting it up, it became more of a talking point than if they just simply put the banner up.
Yeah, no, they definitely needed to put the banner up. I mean, come on, it is an accomplishment. I get it's not the actual NBA championship the Knicks have been waiting for 50 years, but it is an accomplishment in its own right. And Steven, I have another question for you. As somebody that graduated from Fordham University, was a WFUV sports alum, currently working in the field, and probably has hosted one-on-one plenty of times before. What was your favorite experience here at Fordham and WFUV Sports?
My favorite experience by far was when Bob Aarons and a couple of us went to Cooperstown for the weekend, and we stood at a bed and breakfast. It was not the biggest Hall of Fame weekend. It was Barry Larkin's induction weekend. And we had a great old time out there. We did a show from Doubleday Field, and that was easily the highlight. You know, being at Cooperstown, being around, seeing all the Hall of Famers, seeing the parade, doing a show at such a historic ballpark, that was really a special time.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. I have personally made a trip to Cooperstown myself, and I even stopped at the world-famous Roscoe Diner on there, which makes the best French toast ever. So I really do think, you know, Cooperstown was great. Unfortunately, I had to leave early because a family member got sick, but Cooperstown was really a great experience for me. I sort of want to ask you, sort of going off of Travis's last question, you know, obviously you graduated from here. You've been, you know, very successful in the field so far in your career. You're a writer, reporter for Sports Illustrated. You've covered almost all of New York's major sports teams. What advice would you have to guys like us who are trying to, you know, follow your path in the world of sports broadcasting?
Well, nowadays with social media and Twitter, you guys could, you know, make any platform you want. I know Chris, I can't say his last name, Percy, he covers the Knicks as well. He graduated very recently from Fordham. How he's taken his role at Fordham to being a full-blown writer, basically, for Clutch Sports at the moment. He's basically made the transition quickly by really getting in there and being confident when he was there. And it's hard when you're a young reporter being at these games, kind of having that confidence, talking to people. But when you go to these games, you have to kind of, you know, mingle and talk and introduce yourself. And the more you get out there, the more you talk, the more contacts you have, the better. And don't be scared. I know you're out there, you're a 20-year-old guy or girl, and it's hard to kind of, you know, really want to put yourself out there. But you have to put yourself out there. You have to talk to people, introduce yourself. You know, these guys aren't all scary and you know, big scary monsters. They're very friendly, the majority of them. Like Mike Breen, for example, he's the nicest guy in the business. Ryan Runco, nicest guy in the business. You have a lot of allies out there. Use them.
Wow, honestly, that's the best piece of advice we could have heard for. We have to move on in a second to our general NBA segment. But Steven, do you have any other favorite players that aren't on the Knicks, real quick? Like anybody outside of the New York Knicks, or is it all Knicks for you?
No, I'm a big fan of the four major sports. I will say that right now, having a guy like Jalen Brunson and Aaron Judge represent New York City and the Knicks and the Yankees is a really special time. Like I said, for the Knicks, there was many, many dark days over the last 25 years. And for the Yankees, if you remove Aaron Judge from the equation, these last 10 years or so are what? You know, I'm sure, obviously, no championship yet, but to have a guy like Aaron Judge day in and day out, his greatness is really so special. And then the New York Rangers, obviously, they're kind of in a little bit of a tailspin since the conference final appearance 2 years ago. But Terry Panarin, Mika Zibanejad, Adam Fox, the core still intact. But I do think for them it's going to be a rough couple of years. But right now, the championship drought goes since Eli Manning and, you know, since they beat the Patriots back in 2011. That might continue for a little while. And right now, the Knicks are our best hope with that, seemingly.
Yeah, I wanted to just ask you about, like, your other favorite sports players outside of basketball. Steven, thank you so much for this interview today. It was wonderful chatting with you about the New York Knicks, and especially since now there's actually positivity to talk about, which seemed like it wasn't for so long.
Always a pleasure, guys. Happy holidays, and hopefully we have a big May and June for this team. Like I said, they're probably our best chance at breaking this championship drought. And right now it looks good, and coming out of the Eastern Conference, that's the first step in this process.
Yes, it is. That was Steven Seminary joining us on WFUV Sports, one-on-one, New York's longest-running sports call-in show. And right now we're about to go to break, and we will come back and talk about the NBA and everything else going on.
Hello everyone, I'm Trey Rodriguez, calling you to tune in to WFUV Sports One-on-One, New York's longest running sports call-in show. We're live every Saturday on YouTube from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and later at night on 90.7 FM from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. We cover the latest news in the sports world with our wide range of beat reporters, as well as exclusive interviews with your favorite athletes. We'll see you next Saturday on One on One.
You're listening to WFUV, New York.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back at One on One, WFUV Sports, New York's longest-running call-in sports talk show. Max Langer, don't you have something to say about Nets tickets?
I most certainly do. We are still waiting for someone to call in and win these 2 pairs of free tickets that we are giving away for the January 7th nightcap. Well, it's not a nightcap. It's the night game. There's no earlier game. Against the Orlando Magic at the Barclays Center. It is Noche's Latina night. And to win these tickets, all you have to do is answer this trivia question. The Brooklyn Nets have an NBA record 5 first-round picks this season, including their first top 10 pick since 2010, and Igor Demin. Today's question is, who was the player that the Nets took with their last top 10 lottery pick? So call in, answer that, and see if you can win some Nets tickets for the 7th.
The phone number is 718-817-2750. And call in to win free tickets to watch Michael I Don't Want to Pass the Rock Porter Jr. play basketball.
Yeah, who knows? Giannis might be traded to the Nets by then.
You might have
Probably
Giannis
not.
tickets. Who knows? But honestly, watching Michael Porter Jr. and Cam Thomas, that sounds fun enough to me. I'm not going to lie. Somebody please call in and take these Brooklyn Nets tickets off our hands as we discuss furthermore the general NBA.
General NBA. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the Lakers because I'm a big Lakers guy.
LA guy over here.
I'm an LA guy. I'm a LeBron guy.
I think everybody in
If we have somebody call in and win these tickets, I will tell an incredible story about LeBron that has already been told to a few people at this station, but I don't think everybody knows it.
all I'm gonna say is LeBron is. I feel like everybody in our generation, especially closer to our age, loves LeBron.
I love
He
LeBron.
was my entire childhood. I'm a little older than you, so
You know, I've got a great story about LeBron. I'm just going to tell it right
us
now.
the great story about LeBron.
Ready for the story? All right, it's going to be about a minute long. So, I was in Hawaii, right? It was post-2015 NBA Finals, and I'm playing ping pong with these 2 kids, and I'm beating them in ping pong because I'm 8 years old, right? What else am I going to do other than be great at ping pong? And after the game, I go up to them and I say, hey, have you guys heard the story that LeBron James is at this resort? And they're like, yeah, I've heard the story that LeBron, and they're like, yeah, he's here at this resort. And I'm like, how do you know LeBron's at this resort? And they're like, because he's our dad. I'm playing them again in ping pong. It was Bronny and Bryce.
Wow.
I'm playing, that's not the end of the story. I'm playing Bronny and Bryce in ping pong again a few days later, and I'm beating them, which is funny because you think Bronny and Bryce would be amazing at literally anything they do, right? No, I'm beating them. LeBron walks over, and he's pushing Zuri in a stroller who was just born. Bronny and Bryce go up to LeBron, and they say, Dad, he keeps beating us. And LeBron looks at them, looks back at me, looks back at them, and he says, that's because he's better than you. And then I wrote a song about it on the guitar, and that was the greatest moment of my life.
LeBron said he was
That I was better than his own kids at ping pong.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
That
That's my
is
2 truths and a lie story right there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That must have
pretty
been the
memorable.
most amazing moment of your life.
Yeah. All right, let's get back to the actual basketball. I just had to share that. Anytime
Luka
LeBron's mentioned.
Doncic, just magic. And Nico Harrison should be fired for crimes committed against.
Well, he was already fired.
Well, he should be fired out of a cannon into the sea for crimes committed against sports and Dallas basketball. And Jerry Jones should be committed into that same cannon as well. It might just be something in the water for
Imagine
Dallas.
trading
GMs.
Luka Doncic and Micah Parsons
In the
within a
same year.
6-month span. Yeah,
It
that is pretty ridiculous.
Luka is looking like the future of the Lakers. He's the star they've been wanting for a long time. LeBron is getting up there in age.
He's getting up there in age, but he's really turning back the clock. I remember the first 2, games of the season LeBron played. The one where he lost his streak, that was hard for me when he gave the ball to Rui in the corner. But now he's back to his close to his career averages, dropping 23 points a game against Utah. He was fantastic in a game that the Lakers won, and I don't really understand why people don't group the Lakers up there with these upper echelon teams in the West, like the Oklahoma City. Steven said, he mentioned the top 4 favorites out of the West were Oklahoma City, San Antonio, Denver, and Houston, and I don't understand why the Lakers aren't included in that group, because they are a top 3 seed in the West. They do have, in my opinion, when at their best, 2 of the top 8 to 10 players in the NBA in Luka and LeBron. They have the best third option in basketball in Austin Reeves, and I get that they're a little thin down low after DeAndre Ayton, but I really do think that the Lakers, if they were to get into the playoffs, can make a run because they have this full year of cohesion, and it's not going to end in, 1-4 loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves like it did in the first round of the playoffs last year.
Yeah, that was a very painful thing. Anthony Edwards, by the way, I'm going to use a pro wrestling term right here. We used to call Randy Orton the legend killer back in the day, because Randy Orton would come in and he would kill all these, he would come in and beat up Hulk Hogan, he would come in and beat up The Undertaker. He would beat up all these guys that were considered the all-time greats, and he would just come in and beat them. Anthony Edwards is becoming the legend killer in basketball at this point.
Yes.
Because, my God, he if you look at his playoff runs over the last couple of years, who they have beaten, he has beaten Kevin Durant, he has beaten Stephen Curry, he has beaten LeBron James, and he has beaten Jokic.
Yeah, you know what I think about when you say that? I think about that clip of Stephen A. on First Take when he was like, you've got a league with Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, LeBron James, Nikola Jokic, and you got a player in Anthony Edwards who's 23 with a $200 million contract playing like he's broke. And that's what he is. He's taking out all these legends, and he's leading the Timberwolves to massive success.
The relevancy, not only, granted, they've come up short in the Western Conference Finals both years.
Yeah.
But, again, he's 20. The future is so bright with this guy. It is insane to see what Anthony Edwards is doing and will eventually be doing in the NBA. Mm-hmm. We have so many cool stars in the NBA right now. It's just a really fun time to be a fan.
Yeah.
We got a couple games today. At 5:00 we have the Rockets and Nuggets. Kevin Durant, Nikola Jokic, 2 future Hall of Famers, 2 top contenders in the West, going head to head. We have the Mavericks and 76ers. Cooper Flagg became the first person to ever drop 40 points, and I think we have a call-in for the.
Oh, we have somebody. Olivia from Brooklyn. Okay, Olivia, welcome to the show. Can you answer the question? And I'll read it again just so everybody knows what it is. But the question is, who was the last player that the Nets took with their last top 10 lottery pick?
Is it Derek Favors?
That is correct, Olivia. Congratulations. You have won 2 tickets to the January 7th game against the Orlando Magic for 7:30 at the Noches Latina Night at Barclays Center.
Congratulations, Olivia.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it should be a great game, and who knows? Hopefully the Nets have Giannis Antetokounmpo by then, so it'll be even a better game. But you still get to see Michael Porter Jr. play basketball. That's amazing in itself. Congratulations.
Yeah, okay. I think Kurt is, giving her the tickets right now.
All right.
Okay, good.
So Kurt will be handling that. And so back into what we were talking about.
I don't even remember. That was so exciting. She just pulled Derek Favors up. I never would have gotten that. Would you have gotten that?
Who knows? I don't think I actually would have gotten that.
Yeah, probably not.
As you said earlier, Utah legend.
Utah legend.
Right now, there's no update. It has been all punt city in the A&M Miami game.
Yeah, I saw second quarter 0-0.
Carson Beck 8 passing yards. I just needed to say that, and A&M can't capitalize on
With
offense.
a muffed punt, a block field goal, and a Marcel Reed fumble loss.
It's one of those games, and I feel like I need to talk more about just amazing basketball players like Anthony Edwards to get my mind off of that.
Oh yeah.
You want to talk about another people? Like 2020 draft was big for Anthony Edwards. 2021 draft, number 1 overall pick, Cade Cunningham. The Detroit Pistons are finally starting to look like the problem they were supposed to be after tanking in the early 2020s. Kurt, this is what the Nets will be looking like in a couple years if everything goes your way. This Detroit Pistons team, man, this is something special brewing. Last year they got their first bit of playoff experience against the New York Knicks, who made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. And they got their experience, and now they're looking for blood. Max, talk to me about the Detroit Pistons and Cade Cunningham real quick.
Oh, I've been waiting for the Pistons to become like this ever since their bad boy era against Michael Jordan in the 90s. They showed a little bit of a flash of it in the playoffs last year. You know, you had that whole controversy with Malik Beasley at the end. But you're really starting to see the Pistons blossom. And I think that's what last year sort of was. You know, oftentimes a team has to get into the playoffs, get knocked around a little bit, regroup, and then their young players get older. They acquire a couple more pieces in free agency.
And it wasn't like they were getting.
They were killed. No, they put up a good series against the Knicks. Yeah,
like that series could have changed if it wasn't for like one dropped pass in the fourth quarter at the end of the fourth quarter.
No, there was a world last year that there was a chance that the chance was not nothing last year that the Pistons could have, you know, climbed their way to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah,
you know, assuming Jason Tatum got injured. But now you're seeing Cade sort of really lead this team. And I think they're probably one of the only teams that can challenge the Knicks, who are, as Steven said, the odds-on favorite to, you know, win the East.
Yeah, no, for sure. I meant to say the 76ers and 76ers and Dallas Mavericks play this week. Cooper Flagg is the first player in the history of the NBA at 18 years old to drop 40 points.
Yeah, that's pretty sad. I'm 19 and I've scored 0 points in the NBA. So. You know, Cooper Flagg
he's the only player ever. LeBron did not score 40 points at the age of 18.
Well, didn't LeBron have 1 month in the NBA at the age of 18 when he was drafted?
He had. LeBron's birthday is December 30th. We all know the King's glorious day.
We do. We both do. And he was born on 1984.
So he had 2 months. He had 2 months.
No, because he debuted in 03.
Yeah. So no, October of 03.
Yeah, that he would have been 19. Because 84 to 03 is 19.
Oh, yeah, he was.
But we all know that if LeBron was 18, he would have scored 70, because that's what my glorious king LeBron James does. Another great game on the schedule that the Lakers are playing are the Clippers. The Clippers are might be one of the worst franchises in NBA, in sports history. They can't seem to do anything right. They send Chris Paul home because he wants to make the team better. They've got cheating allegations for Aspiration Tree. They're 6-20. They're in 14th place. Their first round pick is with Oklahoma City.
If I was Kawhi Leonard, I'm taking that same thing. I don't want to go do a real charity. Give me my money under the table, Steve Ballmer.
I don't know. I remember back in 2019 after the Raptors championship, I was rooting for Kawhi Leonard to come to the Lakers so badly and team up with LeBron and AD. And man, the Lakers really dodged a bullet there. And
I wouldn't say they dodged a bullet without Kawhi. The Paul George trade is what really pushed it, because the Paul George trade we're still feeling the effect of today.
Yeah,
and it's the fact that Oklahoma City is still getting first round draft picks from that.
They might win a championship again. They might win the second championship in a row. Then they would have 3 first round picks, 3 like good first round picks. Like they could very well get the number 1 pick if the Clippers continue to play as poorly as they do, and there's no signs showing that they won't.
Honestly, the NBA draft lottery, I don't like to get into that. Maybe potentially they could get. No, the NBA chooses who they want to get the number 1 overall pick.
Okay,
that's truly what I believe.
I disagree with you, but regardless, the Thunder are going to have really high draft picks just because. Even if they get screwed in the lottery. And I don't think the NBA is going to screw them. If anything, if the NBA makes this, they want the Thunder to get
I forgot. I was going to say, because it's not the Clippers pick. I was thinking about it being the Clippers pick.
But I think the Thunder, what they're doing is like how they're playing is so great for the game of basketball, because when the last time I remember I was this invested in the NBA is when the Warriors signed DeMarcus Cousins, and they had that incredible 5 of Curry, Clay, Draymond, Durant, and Cousins, with Iguodala and the mid-range legend Sean Livingston coming off the bench. And now the Thunder are right there too, because they have all of these. They have all these great players who are under contract for 5 more years.
Shea, it's one of those things.
J-Dub, everybody, yeah.
Yeah, no. The Thunder are the new dynasty. It's looking very scary for the rest of the league. The Spurs are going to be there to save the day, as Wemby said. As my great French king, Victor Wembanyama, has said, we play basketball the real way. Hey, I love that. I love that quote. The Spurs and Thunder rivalry is going to be a rivalry that is going to fuel generations to come and is going to keep the NBA afloat.
Do you think the Thunder's style play, like foul baiting, do you think that they foul bait and that's like their thing? Because here's what I'll say. Every team in football, every team in like the three sports I follow the most, NBA, NFL, MLB, has been criticized for doing something wrong that is the best team. The Dodgers are the best team, and they're criticized relentlessly because they spend more money than everybody else. The Eagles are criticized because they have this cheating play, the tush push that nobody can stop and needs to be in. And the Thunder are criticized because they just foul bait and they don't really play basketball.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
About all the? I know that's my catchphrase right there. I just like saying that.
It is.
I just like saying
you should
that.
do that TikTok trend. You know, probably not. You're whatever. Okay,
So-
I should have said that, but keep going.
So, with the tush push, the issue is I feel like the three things you listed, I feel like the Thunder is the only acceptable one.
Why?
Well, because
The tush push is a legal play.
No, the tush push is the tush push. It would be if the tush push is a legal play, but it's never ran legally. The Eagles have been false starting this all year. They just it's ridiculous when you go back and watch the replays.
Yeah, it is.
How all these guards are jumping on their guards are jumping off sides way before the ball is even snapped.
Yeah.
They're starting the play way before, and the refs are not calling it because they're scrunched in.
It's gonna get legislated out of the game.
It's gonna get it's gonna get legislated out of the game after whatever that Eagles Giants game was this year when Cam Scatterbo broke his ankle, and whatever that fumble when Jalen Hurts really fumbled the ball and they rolled.
Oh,
him
and they ripped it
down.
out of his arms. And, they were like,
and it
no,
was forward
that,
progress. Yeah, nope. That was the tush push will officially get banned this year, and it only has to do with the fact that yes, it is a legal play, but the Eagles this year have not been running it. It has not been officiated correctly whatsoever.
Well, it's a really tough play to officiate.
Well, that's the other thing.
And that's why it's going to get legislated out of the game, because you can't officiate it correctly.
Baseball needs a salary cap.
No, they don't.
You're a Dodgers fan. Congratulations.
I could be a Rockies fan, and I would think that baseball does need a salary cap, because that's not why the Dodgers are good. The Dodgers are good because
they can spend more money than everybody else.
No, the Dodgers are good is because they spend more money than everybody else, and they draft better than everybody else. They develop better than anybody else. They build a better culture than everybody else, and they do every facet of the game correctly. And if there was a salary cap instituted in baseball, the Dodgers would just be better at all of their other facets of building a good team.
Yeah, the Thunder are just like an amazing team.
They are amazing.
Do
you think they're going to break the all-time wins record?
They're on pace, but I feel like the Warriors are going to keep it.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to do it.
I feel like the Warriors are going to keep it. I'm very interested to see just how the rest of this NBA season is going. Started off so funny. We had the Bulls starting off really hot and everything. And
Bulls came out of the gate. They were like, well, I don't remember what it was, like 7-1 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's not the same.
Yeah, no. So I'm just like, okay, bet. I'm just like, okay, we're not gonna do that right now. We're gonna go see the. We're just gonna see what happens throughout the rest of the year. Again, I saw something. They called. You know what they called the play-in now? And I think it's the greatest name of all time, at least in the Eastern Conference.
They call it. No, I'm gonna guess. I'm never gonna get by it. They call it the Bulls. It's like because Bulls are always the play-in, right?
It's something to do with the Bulls.
Okay, I can get this.
No, it doesn't have to do with the Bulls, but it's with one of those teams that's always in the play-in.
Always in the play-in. Okay, what teams are always in the play-in?
It's called the Trae Young Invitational.
The Hawks are always in there. The Trae
Young Invitational.
And they always win the first game and lose the second game.
Always happens. And then
should have got that.
There was another post I saw, and it said it was a photo of the of the play-in tournament. It was like the Celtics were in there at the time because of their injuries, and it was like the Hawks, and it said the usual suspects, and 76, and it said the usual suspects, and the top comment was, "At Toronto, please come back, we miss you."
Yeah.
Or at Miami Heat, please come back, we miss you.
A lot of people hate the play-in. I actually think the play-in is a great addition to the game because it gives you know.
I think Adam Silver is obsessed with in-season tournaments. I think that's what he is.
Yeah, the playoffs are like the.
And now,
Pre-
when you
the
look at the
procedure
play-in
to the
now, when you look
playoffs,
at the
but-
play-in now, though, too, it's like at this point, that's 20 teams that technically now make the playoffs, including the play-in. Like
Yeah.
you have 2/3 of the league making the playoffs. Each
I
year.
think it's good for viewership, but what it does do is it limits transactions because all of these teams feel like, oh, we've got a shot to.
Everybody
make the
feels
play-in
like they
in
have
the
a
playoffs.
yeah.
and-
Everybody feels like they have a shot to make the play-in because 2/3 of the league are making the play-in. At least, so when you have the NFL, like 14 teams will make the NFL playoffs
Yeah.
out of 32. That's a little less than 50%, but that's still like you're missing out on a good 18 teams that are not making the playoffs. Like
Yeah.
18 of the teams are going to be home on the couch by January.
Yeah, but that's partly why the NFL is so popular is because there's less games and every game means more because, all these teams are going to get
That's true,
in.
and that's why we got 82 games in a basketball season. The Thunder are on pace to break the record. Who knows if they actually will? It will be very interesting to see. I see through your laptop screen there's something that is abysmal that I can't be watching right now because I can't watch this.
It's 0-0
atrocity
still
on
with 3
offense.
minutes to go in the first half. There's really,
This
it's
is going to
kind of
end
a
our
boring game.
general NBA segment. We are going to take a quick break real quick, and we are going to come back and talk about the MLB free agency. I can't wait to ask you a few questions on this one.
The Brooklyn Nets join you in supporting WFUV. The NBA season continues in 2026 with the Brooklyn Nets playing at Barclays Center. Tickets for all home games for the Nets at Barclays are available at Ticketmaster and BrooklynNets.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are officially back. This is One-on-One, New York's longest-running sports call-in show on WFUV Sports, and this will be airing tonight. In the moment you guys are listening to it on 90.7 on the radio station, and it's time to talk about MLB free agency. Max, I'm gonna let you take this one away.
Yeah, well, MLB free agency recently has been very interesting. I'm going to start about it in relation to our two New York sports teams here, especially the New York Mets, who have taken all of the headlines. So just to explain to you, Travis, because I know you're not the biggest baseball guy.
I love learning, by the way.
The Mets have this guy named Steve Cohen, who is a billionaire.
I know about Steve Cohen.
He's got all these money. He's building a casino out in Queens, New York City's first casino or whatever it is. He's got all these money, and the Mets.
Oh my! I don't mean to cut you off real quick. I just want to say, part of the $1 billion of the Mets problems with Juan Soto was at the Jake Paul fight last night.
Really?
Yes, he was.
I didn't know that.
That was all I needed to say.
Yeah. Well, okay, that's very interesting. I don't know how much it has to do with free agency, but it's very interesting. So basically, Steve Cohen has all these players on a contract. He's got the best closer in baseball named Edwin Diaz, who's a free agent. He's got this guy named Pete Alonso, who has hit 40 home runs, driven 120 runs. He's also a free agent. He's got a lot of good players who are free agents, and he has this guy who's running the show for him named David Stearns, who is letting all these guys walk, and the Mets don't really have a way to replace that. Edwin Diaz, he's now on the Dodgers. My Dodgers signed him.
Walkout song was sick, by the way.
Yeah,
That's gonna be
Timmy
awesome.
Trumpets. It's gonna be amazing at Chavez Ravine under the lights. I'm hopefully gonna be there for the first game over spring break. It's
That
gonna be
was my
amazing.
favorite thing about baseball for a year, like just watching that guy walk out.
Yeah.
Granted, Enter Sandman, greatest walkout song of all time.
Yeah, it's It's pretty. Yeah. It's pretty electric.
As somebody that watches like combat sports religiously, like in professional wrestling, mixed martial, I appreciate great walkout songs.
Yeah, I personally think my favorite recently is Hell's Bells, which was Ryan Helsley, who coincidentally was also on the Mets and now is also not. But the Mets have lost all these players. Their fans are going crazy. I know Grace is a big Mets fan, so if she wants to tune in with a little comment here, that would be helpful.
Well, I would just say that the Alonso to the Orioles deal happened on my birthday. So
That's brutal.
that was really, I got a lot of sympathy texts that day. And it was really bad. This is not a good time to be a Mets fan. There's been certain things that Steve Cohen has said will happen in 5 years since 2020 that haven't happened, and now we're losing franchise favorites that were also very good players. Alonso and Diaz were two of their best players, and I don't know how they're going to come back from this. They still need a lot of help pitching-wise.
Yeah, I think the Polanco edition was really underrated.
I like the Polanco edition. I don't think it's a saving grace, but
no, it's not.
I like it. I'm not mad about it. I don't know how I feel about him playing first base all the time, but okay, like fine. I didn't mind the Marcus Semien trade. Like it sucked that Nimmo left, but you know, Alonso and Diaz going back to back like is bad. It's really bad.
Grace, as a diehard Mets fan, like, and somebody that's just been like finally starting to get a little bit into baseball, would you say that Steve Cohen is the Steve Ballmer of the MLB? That at this point, from what I'm hearing, like we got the richest owner, but like they tend to just make the wrong decisions.
That's actually not a terrible comparison. To be
no,
honest.
because he got us Juan Soto, so I'm not like that. Mets fans have short memories. Like that did happen last year.
Steve Ballmer got them Kawhi Leonard.
I'm telling you, that deal the Mets signed for Juan Soto is going to be what ruins the Mets for the next 10 years because they're making so many decisions because of it. If they didn't sign Juan Soto, Alonso and Diaz would be back.
But if they didn't sign Juan Soto last year, like they would have been dead in the water the entire season instead of the pitching blowing it, in the summer. Like they would have. Juan Soto was their MVP last year. Like they had nothing else. I would much rather have Juan Soto than not have Juan Soto, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they have a lot of holes to fill. They have a lot more question marks now than they even did in September. Because now, like they got Devin Williams, and that's fine, and they got Luke Weaver, which I liked.
Yeah.
But
the Yankees to Mets pipeline
it's
is
incredible.
really interesting.
It's incredible.
They want more money, but they don't want to leave, guys. They just want to go to Queens sometimes, or they want to go to the Bronx. Like they just don't want to stay in the same borough. Is that so hard to say?
I don't like. They're getting a couple of good, these guys that were on the Yankees that can come to the Mets. Like some of them have been good. Like I think Devin Williams is going to be fine. He was lackluster last year, but I think there's explanations for that, and I don't think it'll continue. He's one of the best closers in baseball alongside Diaz. So it's a weird time for the Mets right now, but we'll have to see what happens after this.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the one thing I would say is that the Mets last season had Edwin Diaz. They had Pete Alonso. They had Soto and Lindor and Nimmo, and they still only won 83 games. And a lot of people say, oh, that's because their pitching wasn't, well. And I would say partially that, but I would also say partially, I don't think it's coincidence that the two of the biggest failures in baseball over the last 3 years, the 2023 Padres and the 2025 Mets, have both had Juan Soto on that team because Juan Soto, quite frankly to me, doesn't seem like a very likable guy. He's had issues with his teammates over, not welcoming to the team or political differences. You have the whole Lindor-McNeil thing that you're figuring out. So the Mets have a lot of issues I think they need to sort out that goes beyond the on-field play.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of that circulating recently. Nobody really knows except the players, but I would say that if that is an issue, this is kind of the point where somebody has to step in and say, hey, you're here to play baseball, you're not here to start fights.
Yeah.
So it's annoying as a fan if you hear about your stars, and I love Lindor, and if this really is a Lindor problem, I'm still gonna love him, I'm still gonna watch him play baseball, but if there's any truth to that, it's you're getting paid to play baseball. You are in a sense living the dream, and you don't have to like everybody, but it's also at some point you're trying to win baseball games here. Everybody in that locker room wants to win. So
yeah, everybody does want to win in that locker room. Grace, I'm going to ask you a question though. Has this been obviously you're losing players, but even with Soto, are you still really hopeful for the Mets over this next season?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like totally down on them. I think a lot of it's going to rely on what they do next. Like if they go and get Cody Bellinger tomorrow, I'm totally happy with that. I don't know if that's going to happen.
Cody's coming back to Cali. No, he's probably not.
That
wish
would
he does,
like
but-
I think he'll probably go back to the Yankees, but
Yeah.
he would be a great addition to the Mets. Whether they have him play, because he can play first and he can play left, so that would solve either of those issues. And then you figure out what to do with Polanco if he's playing first most of the time. But that would be a great addition. He had a great year last year, and I think he's generally pretty consistent. Like they could use a guy like him. But like my biggest concern with them is the pitching, and if they don't. We can't keep relying on these rookies, or not. I mean, now they won't be rookies, but like Nolan McLean, Jonah Tong, Brandon Sproat, they all looked pretty good last year, but you also can't put the whole rotation in their hands. And like Clay Holmes, who was probably their best pitcher last year in the starting rotation, which is not what you want really. But there's a lot of holes, but I'm not completely down on them. There's some bright spots, and we'll have to see. They have a lot to work on. So if they continue to add and in good ways, and I think they have, then there's stuff to be happy about. So I'd say that's it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Sorry, technical difficulties apparently. Apparently, I want to switch a little bit to the Yankees, who across town have done even less than the Mets have. I believe they've lost. A lot of players. They've lost. Well, Bellinger's still a free agent. They've lost Luke Weaver. They've lost Devin Williams. Their bullpen is a little bit better because they made a lot of moves at the trade deadline. But they're kind of, waiting on some things to pan out. There's this Japanese free agent named Tatsuya Imai, who the Yankees are reportedly.
Are you sure that he's not going to the Dodgers?
No, he's not going to the Dodgers. He
Are
actually.
you sure? Are you sure?
No. I know he's not going to the Dodgers because he was on a podcast like a week ago and he said, "I really, really don't want to go to the Dodgers because I want to beat those guys." So, and then he said it like 4 times since, which it's like, okay, buddy, we get it. You want to beat the Dodgers. You don't want to join us. So he might go to the Yankees. The Yankees have some work to do. They've made a lot of moves around the periphery, but something that's really interesting is the Yankees historically have always been like the big evil empire before the Dodgers were, and now, their owner is basically, he's not crying poor, but he's like, the things that the Dodgers are doing, we can't really do. So I think that's probably frustrating a lot of Yankees fans.
If the Dodgers win a third title, a lockout's definitely got to be coming to the MLB.
Well, I think a lockout's coming if the Reds win the title next year. It's just coming because the owners don't want to pay that much money. And a lockout is the worst possible thing that could happen for baseball.
It's less baseball.
Well, it's less baseball, and also baseball has never been as popular as it has been now. The World Series this year got more views than it has in 20 years.
I've never watched baseball in my life before this year. I come out here, I fell in love with it. Like
it's
that
a great
entire
game.
playoffs was amazing, and I'm so excited to actually watch a regular season right now. And a lockout would just be disgusting.
Yeah, well, I mean, you should be careful because once you get into baseball, it can basically take over your whole life.
I don't think that's gonna happen. But
okay.
I went from being like, oh, this is the most boring sport I've ever watched in my life to, oh my god, this sport is amazing.
There are some people who think it's boring, but I think
I was one of those. I was one of those for the longest time.
Baseball's a great game. It's a great game. There's no clock. It's deeply embedded with American history. You can't get any better than baseball, but.
I think we can, but we'll get into that later.
Well, I think basketball is up there with baseball. Football is a solid number 3.
There's one, but we still got a few
Combat
more minutes.
sports.
We still got a few minutes to talk about. Baseball. So.
Okay, what else do we have? Kurt, do you have any contributions here? Talk about free agency.
Any contributions for Kurt?
Maybe so. Let's see. He's drumming up some ideas right now.
Please restate the question.
Any thoughts on MLB free agency right now?
From you right now?
Not really. I mean, I'm kind of I'm all over the place right now. As a Mets fan, as well as a reporter for the Mets last season, it's kind of like it's an all over the place kind of thing right now with the Mets because you don't really know where they're going to go. Because you're trying to figure out right now, are the Mets going to be contenders next year, which they really should be, because when Juan Soto's on your team, you have to be a contender every year. You didn't just pick him up for $200 billion for no reason. But the other thing is you're waiting to see, like, you need pitching prospects right now, and I'm probably just restating what you guys were talking about. You need so much more pitching. And, yes, you can rely on Nolan McLean, Jonah Tong, and all these guys, but at the end of the day, they're still young. And at the end of the day, it's still going to be really tough to rely on guys that are this young to be like, hey, go out and win us a baseball game. Win us a World Series game. You want to hand the ball to Jonah Tong and say, win us a World Series game. That doesn't seem very fair to a 23-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree. The Mets have been in trade conversations, according to reports, with the Padres. The Padres have a lot of arms to offer for the back end of the Padres bullpen, like Miller and Morihone.
This
and
is
they
a
have
very
Pivetta in the rotation.
This is a very off-topic one, but why didn't the Mets just sign Michael King to the same deal that he got?
Yeah, I
Michael
don't know.
King could have gotten the exact same deal with the Mets. It was $70 million.
Well,
Why are we waiting? Why can't we sign Michael King to the exact same deal?
Well, I think there's some injury scare. People are scared about Michael King's injury because he slept on his shoulder wrong for last year and missed 3 months of the season. But I think the Michael King would have been a perfect move for the Mets, and because I don't like the Padres, I wish they would have done it. I think he also wanted to go back to San Diego, but at this point, the starting pitching options on the market are kind of dwindling. So I think if the Mets are going to make a move in free agency, it's kind of now or never.
I don't disagree with you. I think that it's coming to a point where it's in between Bellinger and I'm trying to think of who else you can go out and get.
Like maybe they'll sign like Zach Gallen or somebody like that.
Oh yeah, Zach Gallen moves the needle.
I mean, he's a good pitcher, and he used to be
He's
like
not a
great pitcher. But I don't think he's a guy you give
Grace
the ball.
He's not bad. I don't disagree.
Yeah, but I don't think he's a guy you give the ball to in Game 1 of the World Series against Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Well, that couldn't happen.
Grace has something to say about this.
I would take Zach Gallen in a heartbeat, Kurt.
But he's not an ace.
You wouldn't take Zach
He's
Gallen,
not an
but,
ace, but they need arms. They need people to eat innings. Like, they don't have pitchers right now. They don't have pitchers that are going to go deep into games. Zach Gallen might be able to do that.
How about Miles Michaelis? No. No.
This is
terrible.
This might sound some crazy casual take, but just call up some guys for the minors, throw them in the fire, and see how they do.
No, that's what they did last year, and look how that turned out.
It almost worked.
It almost worked, but not quite. No, you can't. Like, your whole rotation cannot just be guys like that. Like, it's not. That's not a winning formula. You need a good. I mean, listen, if they trade for Skubal, I'll be very happy. That's going to take a lot, but
yeah, that would take like an arm and a leg and a third leg to get Skubal.
Exactly.
But they would probably re-sign him the next offseason. So
yeah, and he'd be awesome, and
he would be great.
He would at least be a sure thing, but yeah.
Bang.
Just
shout out the New York Mets. Like, they give us drama to cover every year. Even though I wasn't like following sports for the longest time, like the sport baseball for the longest time, I've always heard my friends just complaining about the New York Mets just in every way possible and about everything. And sometimes it never seems to get better. I honestly, Grace, I said that as a joke about the pitching for the rotation. I didn't realize that's actually what happened last year.
That is what
Towards the end of the season, they had a lot of injuries. They had to send some guys down because they were doing that badly. And they had to bring up a few guys who were actually, for the most part, pretty good. Nolan McLean is a future ace.
He is.
He's just only made like 10 major league starts, so you just can't put him in an ace position yet.
Yeah.
So would you say that was like your probably so what was the pitcher's name again?
Nolan McLean.
Or not the one you wanted to sign?
Skubal?
Skubal, yeah.
Tariq Skubal?
Would that be like that's your number one prospect for the Mets to get this free agency after they lost everybody?
You would have to trade for him if he's still under contract in Detroit. But that's probably that would be the best thing for them to do this offseason if they can. I mean, because it would be such a massive move. He's probably the best pitcher in baseball now.
He's one or two,
right, top two, if not one. But he would take a lot. I don't know what that trade would look like. It would definitely involve one of the guys who was a rookie pitcher last year. Hopefully not Nolan McLean, because they should not.
No, they wouldn't.
Him.
They wouldn't trade McLean, but
I
they
don't
might
think
do
they
like
would.
Tong and Sproat.
And then probably some other things.
Yeah, Jet Williams, all
right.
these guys. Yeah.
So that would be it's gonna take a lot, but free agency wise, I think their next move should be Cody Bellinger if they can pull that off. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Although going back to the Mets and what they're doing for society, I can't wait to, when I'm of age, of course, travel to the stadium, to Citi Field, watch a game, and then go into the casino right next door and have some fun. Isn't that going to be a great
That's
day?
going to be a terrible environment if the Mets have like an awful loss and then everybody goes to the
everybody just
casino,
goes there
like,
and gambles.
depressed.
Everyone
away,
loses their money
Yeah,
to go, and then that money
That's
goes.
actually going to be a very dark place.
Or they go to the casino and they say, if the Mets win, I'll put $1 million on red or something.
Right.
Like that.
Guys,
So-
just so you know, all the winnings are going to Juan Soto. Like that.
Yeah, they are.
All the winnings will go straight to Juan Soto.
What it was bank
Right,
account.
right off the gate. A New York Mets casino. That's something I can't wait to see that. I can't wait to walk in there
That'll be
and see
cool.
what that's like.
Yeah, right in the parking lot, right next to
Yeah.
the. I don't know what the name of the U.S. Open Stadium is.
Oh, yeah, Arthur.
Arthur-
Right next to Billie Jean King Center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Arthur Ashe.
Lot-
I've went to a lot of
lot
I've went to
going
a
on
lot of wrestling shows in that stadium actually. It's kind of surprising.
Wow.
Yeah. No, it's a very cool environment in Queens, especially with Arthur Ashe right there. And you got Citi Fields right there. It's just one of these like cool things. There's a Chinese food place actually, like a block away, a little Chinese food place. They take your order on a piece of cardboard, and it was like the best food I've ever had in my life. And they were cash only too. Just some great places to go visit right outside of Citi Field.
No, by the way, this football game is 0-0 at halftime. This is
Yeah.
the worst thing I've done
Miami
ever.
versus Miami and Texas A&M.
Yeah.
They're making my hopes go
Yeah.
for the
no,
Aggie
no.
championship.
But you know what the good news is? The next game, the 3:30 game, can only go up from here.
We'll see about that. They could just be potential blowouts. We are in a defensive standstill. We are about to take a break right now. That has been our MLB free agency segment. Grace and Kurt, thank you guys so much for coming on and talking about the New York Mets with
Yep.
us.
Of course.
We will be right back following this break. This is 101 New York's longest running sports call-in show.
Hey everyone, it's Lydia Perner,
And Grace McCarran.
and we are two of your hosts for 5 on 3.
WFUV's best, if only, hockey podcast.
With all the storylines in the tri-state area, you won't want to miss an episode.
How will Matthew Schaefer fit in with the Islanders?
And will the Rangers have a bounce-back season under Mike Sullivan?
Finally, will the Devils be able to stay healthy and hit their full potential?
Stick with us all season for all things NHL and Will Cooley updates on WFUV Sports.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for one-on-one. This is our last segment of the day right before Christmas. And I need to hold a couple funerals for a couple careers. And we're going to start off with boxing real quick. The other day, the four-weight world champion, Ring Magazine's #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, Terrence Bud Crawford, coming off his ginormous win, his legacy-defining win against Canelo Alvarez. Another undisputed legend Hall of Famer in his own right. after that Mexican Independence Day weekend at Allegiant Stadium back in September is Terrence Bud Crawford has currently announced he is stepping away and retiring from the sport of boxing. He has a perfect undefeated record at 42 wins and 0 losses with 31 knockouts. And it's looking like he is stepping away at the game at the right time at age 36. He has been boxing for a long time. His activity schedule has gone down within the last couple of years since 2020 he only averages around 1 fight a year. But Terrence Crawford won his belts, he made his money, and he's actually 38. He is deciding to step away from the sport of boxing at the age of 38, and for everything we needed to say, thank you, Bud Crawford.
Yeah, thanks, man.
It was one of these things where this man's whole career was just defined by knockouts. The Sean Porter one, Errol Spence is one of the ones that you think back to that you just think, man, this guy was dangerous. He walked out with Eminem to that fight, and there was so much bad blood going into that one. And since 2020, he has averaged 1 fight a year. He has kept his body in shape. He only fights when he needs to, and he wins. And
do these is he only able to do 1 fight a year because he doesn't
No,
he can do more. Why doesn't he do more? It's
you're getting paid millions of dollars. You're getting paid millions of dollars. You're not going to want to take these fights. You're going to take the big fight you need. You're going to take the fights that you want, or you're going to want to take. He's the champion. People have to fight him. He's the guy that's selling pay-per-views. He's the guy that's making the career off of. Why would he fight more than once a year? These are the guys that people have. He's the guy that has to make his career off of. These guys have to make his career off of. By 2019, he's 36-0, undefeated as an undefeated fighter by December 14th, 2019. He is Omaha, Nebraska's own. Gets to retire, and he also ended his career with the biggest win of his career, Canelo Alvarez, another guy that's going in the Hall of Fame. For the longest time, he'd only lost to Floyd Mayweather. His wars with Triple G. Canelo is the guy that people were talking about considering retiring because he's fought so many times over the course of 4 years. Over the course of the last few years, he fought twice this year. Still pulling out wins in the years 2025. Canelo 63 wins now, 3 losses, all by decision, 2 draws. Canelo did lose to Bud Crawford. Just one of those amazing fights, super fights that was put on by at Allegiant Stadium and TKO live on Netflix for the entire pay-per-view. For the one of the deaths of pay-per-view in boxing, which is always a great thing. We don't have to pay any more money for these fights anymore, thanks to Netflix. And Terrence Crawford's contributions to boxing, he's definitely going to be missed. Maybe we see him come out for an exhibition fight on the in a couple of years, like Floyd Mayweather does all of a sudden. But that's the biggest question. Floyd made it 50-0. Terrence Crawford gets to 42-0. We will not see another 8 fights from Terrence Crawford. We will not see another fight from Terrence Crawford. His career is officially over. The new pound-for-pound #1 fighter in the world will now be the heavyweight king, 24-0. Ukraine's own Alexander Usyk is now going to be moved up to the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Just a great boxer all around.
Yeah. Tell me about this guy. Why is he so good?
He's beaten Tommy. He beat Anthony Joshua twice. He's beaten Tyson Fury twice. He's beaten all the guys that we were ranked. It was pretty much he was a guy that came in late. Like, he was always known. He was always there. He was always winning. He hasn't lost a fight. But just the wars this guy puts on. And he beat Joshua and Fury, who are the 2 biggest heavyweight stars of the generation. And Alexander Usyk was the guy to take both of them out. He is that guy in the heavyweight division. Just the way his fight style. Alexander Usyk has beaten Tyson Fury twice, and I already want to see the 3rd fight. I want to see the 3rd fight, and I don't care. Alexander Usyk is currently got stripped of his World Boxing Council title, or his WBC title, because of a back injury, and he went to go do Dancing with the Stars in Europe at the same time.
Really, I didn't even know there was Europe Dancing with the Stars.
Something like Dancing with the Stars. It's not exactly Dancing with the Stars, but it's something kind of similar.
Dancing with the Brits, probably. No,
he's Ukrainian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. He beats up Brits, as seen in Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. Well, we'll get back to Anthony Joshua in a second because, oh my God, am I so happy because of him today. But there's another funeral we need to hold today, and that is last Saturday. We talked about it on 101 last week. Last Saturday was the final professional wrestling match of the career of the greatest of all time, the Never Seen 17, the one, the only, Jonathan Anthony Felix Cena Jr. And it went out on a it was a whimper the way he went out on. John Cena, the embodiment of never give up, tapped out in his final match to Austria's own, the Ring General Gunther. And Gunther is now probably the most hated man in America. He got booed out of a building the other day at Hershey, Pennsylvania on Monday Night Raw. He said something about John Cena tapping out John Cena like a word I cannot say on one-on-one. And if you see the clip, he got that was one of the most. I was floored. I had a little too much that night when watching John Cena for the last time. I didn't know how my emotions were gonna handle. And let's just say there was almost a hole in my television.
Really?
Because of John Cena. When John Cena gave his little smirk to the camera and gave up, he does that little flate tap out, and he's smiling while he does it, and you hear Sympathy Number 9 come on the air, and it's just classical music playing, and the entire arena is just booing. There was no feeling like that in the world. It was very upset. John Cena, in my opinion, the greatest professional wrestler of all time.
I didn't watch it, but you're really painting me a picture with this fight here. I can imagine being there.
John Cena, what he was able to.
All the energy goes out of the arena.
Watch it was, all the energy was sucked out. Seeing John Cena, it was the last time we were ever going to see him as an entertainer in that sense, not as a typical actor, which he does in Hollywood movies now. It was the last time seeing the character of John Cena portrayed on television. And it kind of just hurt my soul a little bit. It felt like a part of me died. And then even more of me died the next day when Michael Parsons tore his ACL. That was another one. But seeing my...
That's a tough 1-2 combo right there. That was pretty good.
Yeah, seeing my childhood hero go out like that, and just the guy that you told never give up finally gave up. It was just sad. And Gunther... I first saw this man wrestle live when he was Walter, when he was 350 pounds. I saw this man wrestle live at the Barclays Center for the first time. It was his first ever major show in North America. And I said, I watched him, and he was the greatest in-ring professional wrestler I'd ever seen in my life. And I said, he is going to be the future of professional wrestling. And Gunther then says, I don't want to come live in America full time. I will not be doing this in America. I want to stay in Europe. And he ended up changing his mind, and he just retired the greatest of all time. He's a 2-time World Heavyweight Champion. Got to see where this goes. The other funeral we are hosting today, and I cannot be more excited for this one. Jake Paul's boxing career and the interest in it. It's finally happened. It took 5 years. It took retired NBA players. It took Nate. We had Nate Robinson. We had Ben Askren couldn't do it. Tyron Woodley couldn't do it. Anderson Silva couldn't do it. I'll get into that in a second. Tommy Fury couldn't knock him out. Jake Paul was supposed to fight Tank Davis, Gervonta Davis, one of the other mind you, the number 3 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, but he had some things to where he was stripped of his rankings on there. He got through some controversy. He was not able to make the fight. He is the 135-pound champion of the world, mind you.
Oh, wow.
Jake Paul is 216 pounds. Makes no sense.
That's not a lot.
What?
That's not a lot for wrestling. You need
for
more.
boxing?
Boxing, you need more than that.
No. What? No, that's.
I don't know.
No. Jake Paul. No, I said Gervonta Davis is 135 pounds.
Right. That's less than me.
Jake Paul is 216 pounds, and they were supposed to fight. Even though he is one of the best boxers in the world. Everybody was saying, why is this happening? Tank Davis has to pull out. And in comes Olympic gold medalist, 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, Anthony Joshua, London, England's own. Sold out Wembley Stadium. Knocked out Vladimir Klitschko in his retirement fight. Has had all these amazing, legendary performances. Was on a little bit of the downswing of his career. Knocked out Francis Ngannou in 2 rounds. Mind you, one of the most impressive things I've seen in a boxing ring. Shout out Francis Ngannou, UFC's own. Mind you, and also yesterday we had Tyron Woodley versus Anderson Silva, which was the equivalent of watching prime time. Imagine if Tom Brady came out of retirement to play the Colts tomorrow.
Oh.
And you had that Phillip Rivers Tom Brady game. That was what that was the equivalent of. Tyron Woodley got knocked out in 2 rounds by 50-year-old Anderson Silva, greatest UFC champion of all time. Tyron Woodley, all-time great welterweight champion. You made my childhood. You knocked out Robbie Lawler in 2016. But it's time to hang up the gloves. It was an amazing run you had. You hadn't fought in 4 years. You shouldn't have been in the ring yesterday. We just wanted to see you fight just one last time, and it was not fun. But watching Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua, the first 4 rounds were very boring. Jake Paul starts the fight off by, best I could describe it, running. He ran around the ring all night. In the boxing ring, he ran around the ring all night. Ran around. Joshua 6'6", 246 pounds. Jake Paul 6'1", 216 pounds. Jake, I got him with a shot nicely early on, but that it looked like that was all Jake had. You just see Jake Paul get more and more tired. He's clinching way too much. He's every time Jake Paul gets into an exchange with Anthony Joshua, he clinches up and then he goes on his knee and he tries taking the entire 10-second count that the ref told him. He said, "Stop with this. The fans paid to see boxing. We didn't pay to see this." Jake Paul starts then shooting illegal double leg takedowns after every time he gets hit. It was ridiculous at this point. At this point, Jake Paul might as well fight in the UFC, even though Dana White hates him. You might as well see Jake Paul fight in the UFC with the amount of times he was throwing double leg takedowns at Anthony Joshua yesterday. Anthony Joshua would hit him with a mean uppercut when he went for one of these illegal double leg takedowns. Just a mean uppercut from Anthony Joshua. He puts him down. Jake Paul gets visibly tired. Jake Paul against the ropes. Jake Paul is backed in the corner. Anthony Joshua comes in, eats just the right hand. Jake Paul does not get up for this 10 count. The fight gets waved off. Jake Paul broke his jaw. His teeth were in his mouth. And the interest in Jake Paul fights are finally over. He's finally fighting a boxer that was his own size, all close, even though he's a decade older, almost as close to his own age. He's not fighting the 58-year-old Mike Tysons anymore, the 47-year-old Anderson Silvas, these 40-year-old retired MMA fighters that shouldn't be in a boxing ring with Jake Paul. He finally had the competition he was looking for, and he paid the price with a broken jaw, and I feel like people are not going to be interested in Jake Paul fights anymore.
Wow. I mean, that sounds brutal just listening to it.
I hate to say it, but maybe if there's a matchup in there where Jake Paul can hype it up somehow, it could be very nice. We'll see how it goes from here. Anthony Joshua, he knows that this is not a fight that is of his level and caliber to the point where he's definitely back in the top contender heavyweight division picture. Jake Paul took this fight thinking Anthony Joshua was like coming off the couch because Anthony Joshua was talking about retirement and everything. Anthony Joshua turns out to have been training with Alexander Usyk this entire time, even though he's lost to him twice. They were training together, training camp this entire time together. They kind of catfished Jake Paul into taking this fight.
All to defeat Jake Paul.
No, not all to defeat Jake Paul. Like, Anthony Joshua could have done this in his sleep. He really could have done this in his sleep. I want to say this was all to train Jake. He was doing this and he got the call. It was more for the $100 million he made off this fight yesterday than the fact of defeating Jake Paul.
Right.
Because the one thing I'll give Jake Paul credit for, if you're a boxer and if you're a fighter and you're fighting Jake Paul, it's the biggest payday of your career. And that's why Jake Paul has stayed so relevant, and that's why all these people want to fight Jake Paul, because it's just a straight bag every time. Fighters don't get paid the same amount of money as you would see in.
So how much would he have made if he was facing like somebody else other than Jake Paul?
I mean, Anthony Joshua is one of those level boxers where he's now making like $30 to $40 million a fight. It's not
But Jake Paul is like, he elevates, right? Because he's so popular.
He does, yeah, but that's why this was like close to $100 million.
Right.
I would say, so if you're talking about, like, let's take your average MMA fighter, for example.
Okay.
When you get into the UFC, you know, in the NFL, you have like the minimums, like yada yada yada.
The minimum salary.
Yeah. What do you think the minimum salary in the UFC is for a guy that first gets in there?
All right, I'll say
for a fight, mind you get paid for your fights. So you get paid to win, you get paid to show up, and you get paid to win. You get paid double to win.
$200K. Am I even close? No.
Nowhere close.
Way lower or way higher?
Way lower.
All right. $20K.
$12,000.
$12,000.
$12,000 to show up, $12,000 to win.
Okay, so you got to do a lot of fights, progress through the levels, and
then you start making
more money and fewer fights.
When you're in the mid ranks, there, you'll make maybe like a couple, when you start getting top 5 is when you'll start getting like 100Ks. You're main eventing, you're co-main eventing.
Got it.
And then maybe if you're in title fights and you're buying so well, you'll make the $1 million. But it's one of those sports where it's just like straight through the fire. You're doing it for the love of the game. There's no passion like it. There's nothing like boxing. There's nothing like mixed martial arts. They're the most pure sports in the world, in my opinion, even though the organizations tend to treat it out. But sometimes, again, in boxing, like look at Jake, like these Jake Paul fights generate massive amounts of money. Anthony Joshua, like Saudi Arabia puts in massive amounts of money. Again, Anthony Joshua took this fight on a month's notice, had an easy victory, and had $100 million payday.
Yeah.
But that is all the time we have. That was our funeral for John Cena, Bud Crawford, and Jake Paul. It was an amazing show, Max. We had
It was
a
a
good
great
time.
show.
It was a great show. What was your favorite part of the show today?
My favorite part was our argument about Mike Tomlin. That was fun.
Our argument about Mike Tomlin was great. You were a great rage bait.
What
I
about
thought our
you?
interview was awesome.
Well, I wasn't rage baiting. I really believe that. Now you're rage baiting me. No, okay.
All right.
All right.
I know. My favorite part of the show might have been our interview earlier.
Oh yeah, that was a great interview.
That was a
great interview.
Amazing interview. We did an amazing interview. We had a nice football talk today. We had a nice talk about college football. Hey, last check-in before we end the show real quick. Let's check to see if A&M has scored or
No,
Miami.
It's still 0-0.
We are still at
The
a
second
0.
half started though, and we just got a 12-yard pass to Marion.
Wow, that's crazy. I
Yeah.
never would have thought we would have something like that. I never would have thought we would have offense in a game. But Texas A&M, Miami 0-0. I've been Travis Hayden. This has been One-on-One WFUV Sports, a production of WFUV Sports, New York's longest-running call-in sports show. I've been with Max Langer, Kurt Sipple behind the board, video producing, and Grace McCarron.